Now we're reconvening from closed session at 7:48, and we do have matters to report or action. Oh, that's right. No action was taken, but we're going to reopen the meeting from closed session. And at this time, I'm asking for the Pledge of Allegiance. And we're... Oh, okay. It will be Ms. Julissa Avendano from Oak Avenue, 3rd grader, and Penelope Bañuelos, 2nd grader, from also Oak Avenue.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So now we will be opening for public comments. We will be asking Ms. Maribel Barba.
Good evening, Greenfield school board members. Today I am talking as a community member who is also a teacher here in Greenfield, who hopes to be able to send her 2 daughters to the school district, who loves my community. And so, understanding our influence as teachers and district employees, we wish to express our support. And I say we because I have a list of about 50 teacher names who also signed my letter. We wish to express our support for the title change and raise for Ms. Laura Cortez. We urge the Greenfield School Board to vote in favor of this title change, raise, and a 4-year contract for the benefit of our students and community. As teachers and members of the community of Greenfield, we believe locals like Ms. Cortez best serves the needs of our students and our community. A leadership pool of locals best understands our unique student body. Locals understand the distinctive need of our immigrant, migrant, first generation, indigenous, EL, low income, and homeless students. We regularly encourage our local students to focus on their education and overcome systematic barriers, especially those against the minority and the female community. For that reason, we are happy to work with these locals who have done it themselves, like Mrs. Cortez. We have found no record of a raise for Ms. Cortez in our records. We believe after 5 years of service with no raise, it is time to compensate a leader who has worked with teachers and worked for our students. We believe in keeping our leaders local and fostering a good relationship. If, in fact, the previous vote for the title change and raise for Ms. Cortez by board member T. Heckman was invalidated based on a Robert's Rule of Order technicality for Ms. Heckman failing to explicitly identify her location at the time of her remote appearance, we are disturbed and disheartened that her memory and her vote has been lost upon us. We are grateful to Ms. Cortez for her openness to communicate with us concerning student body issues. We wish to proceed working with Ms. Cortez and improving on the success we have shared together. We once again urge you, board members, to vote in support of the title change and raise for Ms. Cortez. We understand Ms. Andrea Galvan received a unanimous vote for a raise and renewed contract. We hope the board will continue to vote the same way. Sincerely, Maribel Barba, Vanessa Robinson, Lorena Mendoza, Alan Holmes, Maggie Moreno, Norma Virgen, Adria Gillespie, Anessa Christie, Lisette Sanchez, Magayon, Marco Eniguez, Melissa Rojas, Alejandra Uribe, Aurora Silva, Alex Barnes, Margie Perez, Brenda Hawker, Joseph Portilla, Mark Bird, Matt Garcia, Elaine Ernst, George Garcia, Teresa Rodriguez, Melissa Chadwick, Chris Mello, Erica Mendoza, Shelley Detter, Bernice Beatriz Guerrero, Helena Rogers, David Romans, Denise Hardway, Tobias Emery, Silvia Suarez, Alicia Kindred, Jocelyn Martinez, Maria Martinez, Jose Rodriguez, Omar Tapia, Rebecca Madden, Viviana Rieta, Justin, and the list continues. Thank you.
Now, I have here Ms. Vanessa Robinson.
Good evening, board members. My name everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Vanessa Robinson. I'm a 5th grade teacher at Arroyo Seco Academy. I'm here tonight as an individual educator to speak in support of the title change and contract for Mrs. Laura Cortez. As an educator gravely passionate about advocating for my colleagues and students, I'm disheartened in the events of the past 2 weeks. It is my strong opinion that board votes should be made with fiscal, legal, and moral implications in mind. If other uncertainties are present, especially in regards to leadership, it is also my opinion that elected officials who we have chosen to support should reach out to us, the parties impacted, to gather more information. I don't feel that that had happened over the past 2 weeks, and in fact, we had to make phone calls ourselves to find out background information about the votes. I do appreciate Trustee Kong for speaking with me last night. I do appreciate your transparency, but there is still work that needs to be done. To let this motion fail without doing the work is to communicate that work done by this team, Mrs. Galvan and Cortez, isn't as valuable as it truly is. I've worked with Mrs. Cortez in almost every capacity imaginable, be it a new teacher, an induction candidate, a curriculum lead, a robotics coach, an induction coach, and now as a labor partner being the GTA president. And in all capacities, her ability to be transparent, strategic, responsive, reasonable, open-minded, and so many other exemplary leadership qualities is unmatched. As a classroom teacher and a district leader, I know we can't afford to lose that type of leadership. I also know as a state council rep for CTA and a National Education Association delegate that in relationship to the state of other districts, we are playing with fire by questioning frivolous ideas such as this could lock us into 4 more years. My response, we should be honored to have her leadership for 4 more years. The inability for other localities to secure consistent leadership should be enough for us to do all we can to maintain ours. I know for a fact that the districts tonight are watching, hoping that we fail this vote, because we have something that is potentially grateful to other districts. As an educator, I'm imploring you to stick us with her for 4 more years. 4 more years would give them a solid generation of impact, a class of students from kinder to 8th grade who have experienced all their resources they have saturated our students and community with. All it takes is 1 generation to break the cycle of poverty, so I ask that this board vote yes in favor of her contract in order to achieve what we say we so value here in Greenfield. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I have Mr. Marco Iniguez.
Good evening, board and community members. I'm here to second the voices we just heard. In the past 8 years that I've been a teacher here, plus, I've lived here pretty much my whole life. Ms. Cortez has made a huge impact, in our community as far as professional development, working with the site principals, working with our district administration, Ms. Galvan. I see her always here in these board meetings, working tirelessly to make sure that our students, get what they need. And I've worked directly with Ms. Cortez. Some of the examples are Lead Week, the Saturday academies that I did to clear my teaching credential, which, by the way, really made an impact in learning as an educator to improve the needs of our students and meeting the needs of our students. And so, I just urge the current board members to really vote in favor of her title change because she's an amazing person. She's a gem. We want to keep her, as long as we can, just like Ms. Galvan, they both work really well together, and, I don't think that it would be very devastating. Where we want to keep moving forward. We want to keep, making sure that we're going in the right direction. So I'm here to, voice the concern. And so, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Ms. Annabelle Garcia.
Good evening, board members. I'm here not as my role of CSEA, but more as of a parent that's the most important role for me. My almost gonna be 3 girls here. Right now we have 3 of my two daughters and my son that are students here. And we have seen so many good things that has come to this school. And Ms. Cortez and Ms. Galvan have both been part of that. And I, as a parent, I want to say that I really appreciate that, because starting from changing the dates for TK, my daughter was now able to go to TK and start her education early. And that is what we say, right? Let's start them early. And that is, she had the opportunity to do that. And she did that because of the programs and the changes that our administration did. And there's many more changes that I can't even say, but I know things like Brighter Bites and Blue Zones that have come to our schools, making our children more healthy. And after all, that's what we're here for, right? For the kids. And I appreciate that as a parent and as an employee. I also want to say that I'm thankful for them always listening to us when we need it, when we have things that we need to bring up. And, you know, I'm sure Mr. Trustee Kong can appreciate that as a fellow CSEA member, that they are here to listen to us and help us, and we have not had to go beyond that with any of our issues. So I'm in support as my individual self, as a parent of kids in this community, as an employee as well.
And if I just may add, if not them, who?
Right.
If not them, who? So I appreciate you ladies. You guys are killing it. You guys are doing an amazing job, and we do not want to lose you guys. From the bottom of our hearts, we are parents first. I've been here for 12 years, and I know what bad looks like. When I got here, it was bad. And we are headed in the right direction. I believe that. And I support you both 100%. I'm behind you guys. And I love what you guys are doing, because you guys really do put these kids first. You know, and it's time for us to put our actions to play, and I've been seeing that with you guys, so I appreciate you guys for that. Thank you.
Before I close the comments.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to ask the board, everybody here, I wasn't here at 6. I don't know if you guys did a moment of silence for Ms. Heckman. So that would have been nice, you know, to start the meeting with that. So I will go ahead and start my comment. Good evening, everybody. Just to let you know, I am here as a community member and a taxpayer. There is no question on Ms. Cortez that she's doing a great, awesome, or Ms. Galvan. They're great assets. I am not here for anyone to like me or hate me. I am here to make sure that the district is using my tax dollars for the best of our students. For transparency, I would thank the board and staff for bringing back the May 12, 2022 board meeting agenda. I hope that Superintendent will give a brief reason to the public to why the agenda is back on today. Let's be honest about it. Election is coming, up this November. I think that the Superintendent Galvan's contract and Ms. Cortez's contract would be a good idea to start with the new board. At least that's what I'm thinking. Why the rush now? New boards would also look into recording all the board meetings. Correction on Ms. Barba. They're not what I have, they're not singers, their names are typed, so I guess we can call those signatures, but that's what they like. I've seen the letter that was being circulated, in support of Ms. Laura Cortez requesting a raise, title change, and 4 years of contract. Barbara stated that Ms. Cortez has not received a pay raise for 5 years. Not long ago, Ms. Cortez did get a pay raise. I believe it was 4% increase with retro pay until July 1st. She got it like everybody else did. If I'm wrong, you guys can correct me. I am hearing this letter circulated during working hours. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. If it was, this is a conflict of interest. I disagree with the petition where is all means all. Barbara is not representing everybody's feelings. In this case, Barbara, why not make contrast to all the cabinet? They work just as hard. I disagree with Barbara On the invalid vote of Ms. Heckman, all votes were invalid because of the Brown Act violation. Barbara needs to understand Ms. Heckman was incoherent and lost during the meeting. If anyone should be disturbed and disheartened, it's not us, that's for sure. Brown Act violation is a Brown Act violation. Live stream. I'm getting some text messages that they're having trouble to, connect. So I just want to let you know. Thank you.
So, thank you. Does anyone else have comments?
Good evening, members of the board, Madam President Jaime. First of all, I want to thank you because we got a chance to talk a little bit with you right after the following last meeting that we had. And now we have a timer, so thank you for that. One of the biggest issues, and I'm glad a lot of the teachers are here, a lot of them that I got a chance to work with, they worked hard with their petition, with Ms. Barba taking the lead and getting it signed. That's amazing. But the real issue here is not Ms. Cortez, Ms. Galvan, their titles. That's not the issue. The issue here is our legal counsel. And I'm glad to see you here, Mr. Lozano, because I've heard nothing but good things from my good friend Anthony Rocha, council member Rocha from the city of Salinas. But to be honest, Mr. Lozano, last time that we were here, the legal counsel that sat here with us in this room, I wish everybody that's speaking highly was here present that night to be able to witness. Legal counsel did nothing. Even talking to board president Jaime, she even knew that there was a lot of things that they didn't know that was going on. I would like to know how much did the district pay that legal counsel to be here that night for that X amount of hours, not doing anything. This whole issue, and I'm glad Wes White is here to record it again, like he did last time, could have easily been avoided. There's no need to put them on the spot, Ms. Galvan and Ms. Cortez, or the board. Legal counsel, Mr. Lozano, your team needs to do better. And I do want to ask for a records request to see how much legal counsel was paid that night. And you, governing board, you have the ultimate decision to be able to request how much did you guys spend on legal fees that night, and then also evaluate your legal counsel. Because that day, as I repeat, all this could have been avoided by that one legal council member that was just sitting here, not doing nothing. There was even moments when the public even asked him, can I do this? Even board member president asked the legal counsel, and he did nothing. He didn't reply. He didn't even acknowledge you, the governing board, that it's the ultimate body that governs him as the superintendent. So again, this issue could have easily been avoided, Mr. Lozano, if you would have corrected the behavior of part of your legal counsel. And I will end my comment just saying, let's focus a lot of our energy, like this wonderful list that Barba started and had people sign. Let's focus on the kids that are going home this summer to broken homes, mental health issues, no food. Are we teachers talking about sending our kids home with a new box of crayons, with coloring books, with the actual information and knowledge that they need to be able to survive the summer? Or are we just going to sit here and complain about these things? Because I could tell you, as a mother of 4 for the district, my kids didn't come home with crayons. They came home with bits and pieces of what they had, and I'm not blaming the teachers. It could be a little bit more about each administration at each site, but again, that should be the conversation, our children.
Thank you. Any more comments?
Good evening, board. My name is Stephanie Garcia. I don't currently have children attending your district, but I do have 2 that have gone through. And Ms. Barba was my son's favorite teacher. I don't like it when people are addressed by their last name. I think that's disrespectful. Anyways, I wanted to express my condolences to all of you for the tragic loss of your colleague, Trustee Heckman. Even sadder still is that, from what I understand, you are being forced to redo your and her last meeting due to a technicality that was beyond the board trustees' control. And by doing so, tonight's actions essentially take away and invalidate Trustee Heckman's last votes. I hope that you can find it in yourselves to honor her intentions from her last meeting. In any event, again, I'm sorry for your and GUSD's communities loss. Someone forwarded me a video of your last meeting. So I know your job up there is not easy, but know that your work and you are appreciated.
Does anyone else have comments?
Good evening, board members, administrators, and attendees. I am Dr. Lourdes Villarreal, long-term Greenfield resident, voter, and fifth-year Vista Verde teacher. I had no intentions of speaking in support or against the renewal of Mrs. Cortez's contract. However, the actions of our GTA leadership, particularly Mrs. Pbis, compel me to speak up. While what the GTA leadership is doing may not be illegal, it is unethical, a conflict of interest, and self-serving. The list of supporters that Ms. Barbara presents is impressive. Several words come to mind: powerful, influential, privileged, and hand-selected and trained by Mrs. Cortez, a real who's who among teachers. I wonder, however, what a new non-tenured teacher would think of such a list. Would she dare bring any concerns to the union about an administrator when the GTA leadership is so enthusiastically supporting administrators? I have yet to see GTA leaders negotiate so passionately for teachers as they are doing tonight for Mrs. Cortez. Some time ago, I was told by a union rep that I had better watch what I said about teacher coaches because they might just remember what I said and they would come back as administrators. Was this a warning, a threat, or intimidation? Mrs. Barbara and her supporters are afraid to lose Mrs. Cortez. Are we to believe that if Mrs. Cortez gets what she wants, she will sacrifice and wait patiently until Superintendent Galvan decides to leave for more advantageous opportunities to apply here to be a superintendent? What does Mrs. Barbara and her supporters really have to gain? By her own admission, Ms. Barbara wants to be a principal. This is not about the students. If you look around, you need not worry that you will not have administrators to fill the positions left. Mrs. Cortez has hand-selected and trained your leads and your coaches, who will one day be your future principals, assistant superintendents, and superintendents, and who one day will do the very same thing that they're doing tonight. Have you ever wondered if perhaps the real problem in the district is the inbreeding of ideas, the cloning of individuals, and the silencing and intimidation of independent thinkers? Thank you.
Hello. Well, what I read to you before was meant to be a response to Ms. Barbara because of the emails that I received. I think we need to take into account that not everybody might be having the same experiences. And I think Ms. Barbara forgets that there was a time when she was a classroom teacher at Vista Verde, and that she was critical of the decisions that were being made. One very important one, the dismantling of the language arts department. She spoke passionately about that decision that was made, but I think she has forgotten. And that's why we are in the state of affairs that we are now. We continue to be in the same state of affairs with language arts. ELD, really, we're in the same situation again. I saw my schedule is the same as last year. Same situation with ELD. We are getting some more support from Mrs. Ramirez with textbooks in a timely manner, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to share one brief experience that I had. I was a lead once. And when I went to Ms. Cortez for advice about two faculty members that were being reluctant to do assessment the way we were told, she told me that I had to make them. So I don't believe that that was my role. We're equals. That's why I think that some of the coaches, they start to act as if they're quasi-administrators. So I think we have different experiences. Also, the coaches that we have, they're unable to support us. They don't have experience in ELD. They flat out tell us, I don't know. A lot of the times is, I don't know. They haven't taught at the middle school. We had ones that was a math, that was their expertise, and they were trying to tell us how to do language arts. So I really question the decisions that are made at Vista. Possibly in the elementary schools, possibly things are great there because these ladies maybe have awesome experience in elementary, but we are sorely missing competent leadership in the middle school, people who actually have middle school background and people who actually know what they're talking about to tell me how to do my job. But how can it be that I have higher credentials, more experience, and somebody else who doesn't is telling me how to do my job? So how are things ever going to improve at Vista? We have a really low reading level. Nobody talks about that. Maybe the children do awesome when they're in elementary. Then why do we have such low reading when they come to us? I don't know what's happening. There's a disconnect, and I hope you think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I actually do support Ms. Cortez. I've had several good experiences with her. I do support my sister, who totally says everything that's correct, and I really do appreciate everything that she has to say about Ms. Cortez. And everything else that's being said negatively about her is really wrong. You don't know my sister to be saying that about her. So I appreciate to get your facts straight before you guys say anything about her. And because she says what she says, because she does work closely with Ms. Cortez. And that's what I have to do, and I do support Ms. Cortez, and I hope you guys do support that raise that she does deserve. I've seen what she's done to our students, and I really appreciate Ms. Cortez from the bottom of my heart. As a parent, I do. You have my support.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I want to start off with Ms. Galvan. Do you remember your first day here? And I told you I was going to be watching you. I have been watching you. And it's a mess. I know that you applied for a job somewhere else and you were denied. I know that Ms. Cortez also applied for a job and she was not chosen. So all the stuff that you guys are talking about, I can't fathom. For one, who makes the decisions about the school books that these teachers have to teach? Grading from the Inside Out by Tom Schimmer. Do you know what that book consists of? Do you board members know? Did you approve these books to the teachers? Did it come forward to you? It was thrusted to these teachers. It started out like, we're gonna look into this book. All of a sudden, that's what we're gonna do. What does it mean? It means that these kids already know that they can come to school and not do one iota of work and they're gonna pass. Shame on you. The next is, do you ever look at the dashboard for the 8th grade? No, you don't. It is one of the lowest in the state of California. They're reading, math, and English. Where the hell are you getting these numbers that they're doing great? I want to ask. Because they're not. The intimidation that you do with some of these teachers, trying to get them to leave, is just incomprehensible. And yet you want to keep this kind of leadership here? The fish always stinks at the top. Always. Why are kids taken to Vista Verde, little kids, that they should be home with their parents? They're taking them to Vista Middle School. Why? That is a big liability. And they all know it, and they accept it. Why is this Mr. Garcia has this gay club? He boasts about it, and he calls some of these other kids that have already taken their lunch out of their academic class to be into that club. If he wants them there so badly, why doesn't he do it in the beginning or at the end of the school? These kids cannot be taken out of their academic classes just to attend a gay club. Hell, if it was my kid going to school and doing this, I'd want to know. And I also would not, I've got a lot of things that.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alan Holmes. I've been a teacher in this school district for 19 years. And I did want to speak to that last statement about Mr. Garcia at the GSA Club. He has never pulled any students out of other teachers' classrooms to attend the GSA Club. He has left it open that since some 7th graders can't attend during the 8th grade lunch, that if those teachers are willing, with their permission, that the student may attend, only under that situation. There are some students that made the mistake of misunderstanding and misspoke about Mr. Garcia's position. But I just want to make sure everybody understands Mr. Garcia is only looking out for the welfare of our students, and particularly the students who are most at risk, members of the LGBT community. And I'm very grateful for the work that he does. Thank you.
All West Whites is Monterey County residents, of course. Just wanted to let you know, I did get about 200 views on this, and I mean, I shouldn't be the only source. Apparently the live stream wasn't coming in very well, or at least for the earliest session, and I couldn't even hear what's going on. So I'm glad there is a record, but I shouldn't be the record. I mean, your quality all the way in the back, especially, like, I don't know why things technically aren't working, but hopefully they improve. Oh yeah.
A little closer to the microphone because I couldn't hear the end. Can you get closer to the microphone? There you go. Yeah, better.
But just trying to work out the technical glitches, so that I'm not the only source.
My name is Cesar, and I am a para-educator at Cesar Chavez Elementary School. And the third to last person that spoke up against Ms. Galvan and Ms. Cortez, I just want to say that during our 2020 Zoom, whatever we want to call it, Zoom education or whatnot, school year, I just want to give a big shout out, big thumbs up to Ms. Galvan, who took her time and liberty to read to the students, reach out to students as well during her read time sessions during our COVID lockdown. That is something that I know a lot of teachers wouldn't have time for. They would have other things to do. But Ms. Galvan took her time and liberty to do so. And I give her a big applause of that. Also, she's also there at our schools on her time as well to support our teachers, the staff, and students. And that's something that I am grateful of seeing every time that she visits our school. Not only our department at SPED, but also the first graders through 8th grade. And I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you, Ms. Galvan, for being there for us during our worst time in our nation's history, during the COVID years. I really appreciate that. Not only that, you were there for us when we were supplying food to our students who couldn't have lunch because of COVID, who couldn't attend our school because of COVID. And I really appreciate that she was there, along with Representative Pineda, son of Leon Pineda there, at our school district, at our school site, at Cesar Chavez Elementary School, to welcome back our students during that April of 2021. And I appreciate that she was there. Anybody that says that, well, I couldn't be there because of COVID, I wasn't because of COVID, I was there. I was partially disabled with an illness called Charcot's foot. And I had a foot brace there. And I took my time and my liberty to be with those students. I had someone tell me, why don't you apply for a disability? In my mind, I gave that person the middle finger, and I came to work with that broken foot, with that foot brace, as well as a cast. And just like Ms. Galvan, a very special person, I follow that as well. And I hope you guys do too. Thank you.
Okay, then I will be closing the public comments, and before we continue, I would like to say a few words or ask for a moment for Ms. Heckman. And the reason we didn't in the beginning was because we were hoping for the audience so we could all be a part of the moment. So, in honor of our beloved teacher, community member, Vice President, Ms. Heckman, who passed away after a lengthy battle with cancer, strong pioneer of this community for our students, one person that I knew that was in it 100% for students. Just today, we received a card, and I'll let Ms. Galvan talk about that because I just can't. But she just sent us a sign today of the love that she had for every student in this district during her time and after her time and in the future. She really just sent us a little reminder of all the great things that she did. She might have not been perfect, but who is? But I hope that we respect her memory and think about the good, because we all have flaws, but I always like to think of everyone's greatness and what they do to better themselves and be a part of helping others. And that's just what Ms. Heckman was. And Ms. Heckman, may you rest in peace. And I'm just asking for a moment now. Thank you. And now we're going to move on to our featured school site presentation, which is Oak Avenue.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Galvan, Cortez Cabinet, community. Thank you for joining us today. We have the pleasure of spotlighting all the amazing things that are happening at Oak Avenue School. With us in Zoom is our principal, Mr. Sanchez, for us. So again, our presentation today is going to encompass a little bit about our academics, what are we doing. So we're going to be spotlighting something that we've been implementing this year with Fidelity, which is number talks. And we are also going to focus on culture. We know that we do have our three goals, which is community. The two things that we really wanted to highlight are things that 100% with Fidelity as a school-wide community we have been implementing. And so for culture, we are going to highlight our Pbis Rewards. It's something that we started 2 years ago, and this year we had such a huge buy-in, not just from our staff, but our students. And so you'll get a glimpse of some student and teacher testimonials for both number talks and Pbis reports. We wanted to capture just the voice of our school, right? Because it's one thing for us to come here before you and share with you the data and share with you the pictures and the standstill pictures. But we wanted it to come genuinely from the heart and soul of our teachers, our students, for it to be captured in action, so we're hoping to be able to share that. Oh, yeah. We want to recognize for our classified staff member, we want to recognize Desiree Hernandez. So she can come on. And for our participators, we want to recognize Trujillo. If she can actually go on the stage. So we are honored and privileged to work alongside these two beautiful souls. Desiree, she is just a wonderful asset to our intervention team. Not only is she student-centered, she uses data to ensure that she's creating lessons and activities that are meeting the needs of our students. She also provides high-quality instruction and it ensures that our students are highly engaged, and her results have proven growth. So that's what we always look at. Are our practices yielding student learning, right? And so I can proudly say that every single student that was in our intervention program receiving lessons from this young lady grew on the iReady diagnostic. She's always ready to support, whether it be in assessments, planning groups, extended learning. She works well with our staff. She is just someone that is just well-rounded and wears multiple hats. She's the first one to volunteer, whether that be subbing in the classroom because we're short-staffed, or helping in the front office. She's always willing to extend her time to just make sure that everything's running smoothly. Her professionalism and attention to detail makes her a valued member of our Brown Bear family, and we are fortunate to have you at Oak Avenue School. You are such a phenomenal educational leader. Not only are you a teacher, you're a mentor, you're a coach, you're a mother, and you are a pillar at Oak Avenue School. You are an innate leader because you are always willing to share your best practices. You build capacity. You work not just with your grade level team, you extend that support to whomever is seeking that support from you. You're highly respected by our staff and students. You have high expectations for students and you hold them accountable for their learning. You use data not only to drive your instruction, but to also create intentional, targeted intervention. You have the ticket in the door, ticket out the door. It's minute to win it in your classroom. You build that positive student-teacher relationship. I know you hate the teacher hairstyle, but man, did you get those this year. Teacher clarity, 100% success criteria. And I could say that we didn't have enough benches to fill all those students that needed lunch with the teacher for you. Your instruction surpasses all of our expectations. You are just an absolute gem, and we are so fortunate to have you here at Oak Avenue School and a member of our Brown Bear family. So thank you for your service. Thank you for everything that you do, and we appreciate you. Mr. Beal or Ms. Hernandez? Would you guys like to say anything?
I just want to say thank you to my family. I wouldn't be able to do it without them. And with my students, I have one in the audience, so I wouldn't be able to do it without them. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Ms. Villa Gomez and my admin and all my friends that I work with. You guys are super awesome and motivate me all the time. Thank you to my family for always being there for me. And happy birthday, sister, I love you.
Thank you.
Okay, really quick. Brown Bear family, join you really quick. Everybody. Marco, can you take Brown Bear family, come on up. I'm not the only one. Yes, come on. No, you're not the only one. Come up really quick.
In the videos, you'll see just a lot. So the purpose of number talks is just to get our students doing math cognitively, right? Without having to use their fingers or use manipulatives. It just really gets them to critically think and give you the automaticity for them to be able to give you that response and for them to realize that there's more than one way to get to the same answer. And so that's what Number Talks brings to the classroom. It increases vocabulary, it increases language. students begin to communicate with each other. So a lot of partner talk, but not structured partner talk, like how you would have partner A talk, then partner B. No, this is open for the entire students' class for them to have those rich, meaningful discussions.
Oh, you already gave me the answer, right? Okay. Was that did you want to give me a number? No? Is it? It's a 43. All right, would anyone like to defend the number? Janine, go ahead.
I would like to defend number 44.
Okay, number 44. Go ahead.
First, I did 53 plus 46 equals 99.
Okay, so you started with what I already gave you, right?
Yes.
Okay, so she did 53 plus 46, and what did you get?
99.
Okay, 99. So for this side, you're telling me you have 99?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I thought about this. What gives me 9 in the ones place? 4.
Okay, so you said 5 plus 4 will give you a 9?
Yes.
Good. Okay.
And then I thought about it again. And then I know 4 plus 5 is going to give me 9.
Okay, so we went back to the 10th place now, and she said 4 will also give me a 9, so 99 is equal to 99. Okay. You guys agree? What do you think? Good? All right.
It's the
This is the second one already. Good thinking.
No, number talks it, I make number talks.
I love number talks.
Yeah, but they got it.
Well, thank your principal, he loves number talks.
Ain't that true?
So you got to see a little sneak peek, but our kids love it. They love it and they ask for it, and even though we only do maybe 1 or 2, at max 3 problems in the morning, they want more and more, and we're seeing just the buy-in from the students that they just are gaining so much from it.
Okay, can you describe that a little more for me?
Like I did like
Let's start with being, so how am I gonna set it up?
like the exactly
Pretend that's in here. How would you tell me that we're gonna set it up?
I put 436 on the top, 180 on the bottom. So first I did 6 minus 6, which gave me nothing. And then I went to 4 minus 1, so I crossed the 4 and took a 3.
Okay, sorry. You said that you went to the 4?
Yeah, I crossed the 4.
You crossed out the 4?
And I turned it to a 3. The next thing I did is I crossed the 3 and turned to a 12.
Into a 12. Can I ask you where you got the 12 from?
From the 4.
Oh,
And then the next thing I did, I put 1 at the 6.
okay.
And it got me 8.
What got you?
That's 16 minus 8.
Okay.
And then the next thing I did is I did 12 minus 8, which gave me 4. And last, I did 3 minus 1, which gave me 2.
And Carlos, you said that you were using your hands, so when were you using your hands?
Oh, that's 16 minus 8.
Okay. So tell me, did you start with 16 and then subtract an 8, or how did you use your fingers in your head?
I counted like 2, 16, 14, 18, 19, 20, 8.
Okay, so count it down to 16.
Thank you. We'll go into the teacher testimonials. So as they're transitioning to the teacher testimonials, as you can see, the purpose of number talks is for students to explain their thinking. It's not about the teacher giving the instruction. The teacher serves as a guide to prompt and have the students reflect and analyze their thinking so that they can dive deep into how it is that they're formulating their math and they're solving math. So here we have Ms. Pacheco, and she's our 5th grade teacher.
Well, hello, Ms. Pacheco. How are you doing today?
Good.
Ms. Pacheco, I know that you've been doing number talks consistently throughout the year. I just wanted to just confirm that. Is that so?
Yes, definitely.
How many times do you do it a week?
I would say at least 3 times a week, but you know, with testing and everything, if we can get in 5 days a week, that's totally doable. Just kind of depends, but usually at least 3.
Okay, great. Now, since you do it so consistently, have you seen a difference in the students from the beginning of the year to now?
Yes, those kids definitely are getting their math vocabulary, just consistently using, you know, the place value, they're using, you know, instead of saying take away, they're more so saying, oh, subtract or minus, or instead of saying plus, they're using like in addition to. So the math vocabulary has been the biggest change that I've seen, but also I feel like it's just increased their confidence with even the basic operations. They're able to, you know, not just take 3 minus 2, they're able to take triple digit numbers or even quadruple digit numbers and feel confident with that, feel confident in being able to only think about it in their heads, and then it translates, of course, to paper whenever they're thinking, you know, literally about taking a group of 10 and putting it to the ones place, so, or anything else like that.
Great. And now, one last question, Ms. Pacheco. Knowing that we measure our students using our iReady data, right? And we saw your iReady data, your numbers, you do have some achievement or some improvement, right, all across when it comes to mathematics. Do you correlate that to doing the number talks daily?
I would. I mean, the first example that came into my head is our first diagnostic, we didn't have any in green. And then our second diagnostic, we had 1 student in green, which of course is, you know, it's not a whole lot, but it is 1 student. But I noticed that that 1 student is the student who constantly is volunteering, and he's constantly giving, I mean, not just 1 way, but he's, you know, if nobody else is volunteering, he's giving 2 ways, 3 ways. And I mean, of course, that's just 1 student, 1 example, but even with our third diagnostic, I believe there's about 5 or 6 that are on green now at least, and I definitely think that, again, building that confidence with number talks and building confidence with even the basic operations, even though we're in 5th grade, those basic operations are critical to everything that they do. So I definitely would say that that has been a big improvement, a big change. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Pacheco.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Magallon, in terms of mathematics, specifically number talks, we do see some correlation between number talks and the general math. But can you tell us if in your classroom, have you seen a difference between the beginning of the year and now in terms of number talks?
Yes, I have. So I have seen a grand difference since the beginning of the year to now. So at the beginning of the year, we started doing like dot talks that kind of got them to articulate numbers and how they saw numbers. To now we started doing 2 digits to 3 digits. So now at the end of the year, my students are able to manipulate numbers. They're able to use mental strategies to help them come up with different answers instead of using their fingers, because in 2nd grade, a lot of the time, they want to be counting with their fingers. So I want to teach them different methods of how to count in their head, and that has helped them overall in math, generally. It's made a big difference.
Now, in terms of iReady, there is some indication that in your class, there was a huge jump, right, in terms of growth. Do you attribute any part of that growth due to conducting number talks on a daily basis?
Yes, and I think the important word is daily because we used it consistently. Even sometimes when I forget, they say, "Oh, it's time for number talks," and I'm like, "Okay." It's a great way because it doesn't take a lot of time during class. It takes about like maybe 10 minutes. So I did see a difference because students were able to get other strategies from other students, and then the next time they wanted to share. At the beginning of the year, I had maybe 1 or 2 share. By the end of the year, everybody wanted to participate.
Well, thank you for your time, Mrs. Magayon.
Thank you.
All right, and then we're going to transition to our last spotlight, which is again our culture. We want to focus on Pbis Rewards, so I hope you enjoy this video that was created for you all.
Behave good so they could earn points and get gifts and stuff like that. Pbis makes our school because people purchase it and you earn the points. The only reason why you earn the points is because you be respectful and be on task. That's all you gotta do to get Pbis points. That's why Pbis makes our school fun. I like to buy Pbis stuff because it makes our dreams come true and you can buy anything you want. You have enough points. So I get Pbis points by being safe, respectful, on task, and fun. I like Pbis points because I can buy things from the Pbis store. I like Pbis with points because I get to buy fun things from the store. I like Pbis points because when you save up all your money, you can get whatever you want and buy things that can help you survive. I like Pbis points because it gets us close with the teacher, like with the principal, whoever thinks we want. Hi, my name is Joaquin. I'm from Oak Avenue, and I think the Pbis store is good. I think my thoughts on the Pbis store is good because I literally get stuff I wouldn't be able to find if it weren't for the Pbis store. My name is Gabriela. I'm from Oak Avenue. Well, I think the Pbis store is that it's pretty good for me because we get to buy stuff that parents don't let us buy because they don't want to waste money, and we get to get Pbis points. And when we get Pbis points, it's kind of like money, so we waste the Pbis points on the stuff except for our parents to waste it. So I say it's better to have Pbis points for the next week that we go to school.
To earn the Pbis points, you have to be good, pay attention, be respectful, pay attention to the teachers.
Pbis points by working hard and paying attention and doing my work. How does that help you in school? It helps us in school by you shining and you doing your work and listening to the teacher. It helps us by getting those prizes and helps us be behaving for we could get stuff by behaving and then when after when we have to get the Pbis stuff we could get it.
Why do you like Pbis rewards? Because if you do your homework or something, you get points. With those points, you can buy something, which is cool. Most schools probably don't do it, but Oak Avenue Elementary School does. That's why I think Pbis rewards is cool. Thank you. My favorite the teacher because I really like eating with the teacher because Mrs. Chavez the best, and I always pick it because I really like to eat it. Okay, thank you, ma'am. When we behave, they give us points, so we get excited to buy stuff. Okay, thank you.
This is our 6th grade class. We get excited for opening soon.
Why are all these students out there with you?
Oh, they earned it. They need to do their homework every day. Every week we have lunch together. And if they miss one day, then they're in the cafeteria. Yeah. So they earn it by doing their homework every day. Right, guys?
Hello, I'm Csca Report, first grade teacher at Oak Avenue Elementary. I want to discuss the importance of Pbis rewards and points. My students absolutely love going on to the Pbis store and purchasing items. They receive their points based on their respect, the hard work that they've been doing in class. And I noticed that throughout the school year, it's been a motivation for them to receive Pbis points. What they purchase mostly during the school year are certificates for lunchtime with the teacher. They absolutely enjoy spending time with me at lunch and just being in my presence. And that makes me feel wonderful because I know that my students have that wonderful connection with me. I will continue to use Pbis points and rewards to motivate students to be good brown bears and to continue to follow the Brown Bear Code. Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you for everyone. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your time. We hope you enjoyed the glimpse of number talks and our culture. And so thank you so much for the support and for allowing us to come here and show you a little bit about what we do here at Oak Avenue School. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any comments, please?
Ms. Villagomez, do you have that video on the website of the school, or?
No, I wanted to first show it here, and then I'm gonna share it, because it's a link on my drive, so I'm just gonna put it on Twitter and everything.
That would be great if you could have
I just
it.
didn't wanna I wanted to first show it to you guys.
Well, thank you for doing the premiere to us. So.
Yeah. So this is an exclusive premiere from Oak Avenue.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Khan? Mr. Madrid? No? Okay. So now moving on to GTA report.
Good evening, board again. Ms. Vanessa Robinson, board president. Board president. GTA president. Sorry,
Alan Holmes, GTA vice president.
And Maribel Barba, vice president too.
And tonight we're just going to report the state of GTA for the most part. Is in a good stance with the district and in negotiations. We are happy about our contract moving forward and our raise, so thank you all for negotiating well. We do have a new cabinet coming in next year, not too many new faces. I will be president again. Alan is remaining VP1, Mrs. Barbo is remaining VP2. We have new treasurer, Mrs. Lorena Mendoza. At ASA, we have site reps Carlos Lopez and Melissa Rojas, so they will be joining the team newly. At Cesar Chavez, we have Taylor Shortall. At Oak Avenue, we have Joseph Portilla and Alex Cervantes. At Mary Chapa, it's Marco Iniguez and Luis Davalos. And who am I forgetting? Which site? VVMS. And at VVMS, we have Dee Kirkley and Patrick Burke. Yes, so our cabinet's staying the same for the most part. 2 site reps at large, or secretary, Alicia Kindred, and 2 site reps at large, which will be Shelley Detterer and Adrian Gillespie. So look forward to working with you all again next year, and enjoy your summer, those of you who are off. And
if you're not off.
If you're not off, just watch ours.
We'll be watching.
Yes.
Now, CSEA report.
Thank you. Good evening. Annabelle Garcia, CSEA president.
Frank Rico, CSEA vice president.
Tonight, what we have to report is our sunshine letter will be coming up as one of the items for tonight to be voting on for our negotiations for upcoming successor contract that'll be 2022 to 2025. So we hope to see the approval come through. As far as our cabinet for CSEA, we vote in January, so ours still stays the same until then. Other than that, we don't have anything else. Summer school starts next Wednesday, so I'll be there working. So my summer is gonna be pretty long. Other than that, thank you all for your support, and you guys have a good summer.
And we look forward to working with you guys next year too. Have a good summer.
Thank you. And now, board, we'll start with Mr. Khan. Do you have anything to report?
Just a couple of items. I know it's getting really late. I had the pleasure of attending a workshop given by the Capital Advisors. Excuse me. Let me see if I can do this here. Closer. Okay. And so they covered, it's pretty 9 o'clock at night. A lot of you people not really interested in these these budget things in terms of school funding. But I just want to let you know that unfortunately, there was 3 items that was not on the governance budget, and people are still working to get it on the budget. There was no general fund allocation to help school districts with their CalPERS and CalSTRS pension costs in terms of buying down those obligations. No proposal to assist basic aid districts with costs of implementing TK expansion. No additional ongoing transportation funding, unfortunately. Now there is a bill that's in the legislature trying to get funding for that, but currently, until that happens, there is no additional funding. But we are still, as a member of the California School Boards Association, and also with the California CSEA, working to try to get those things rectified. So in that budget. So, and also we're trying to get more base funding for the LCFF instead of all the categorical funding that the state likes to do. We're just trying to get some of that money into a basic, this is a basic fund, so we can get more discretion in terms of how to spend it. So, it was a 2.5-hour presentation. I don't think you want to hear the 2.5 hours. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. And the other thing I have to say is that I had the pleasure of attending the Cesar Chavez 6th grade promotion on Monday with President Jaime and Assistant Superintendent Cortez. We had a great time there, and I commend the staff. They had a wonderful ceremony, and everything went really smooth. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Trustee Heredia?
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to say I had the opportunity to participate when to see the end of the year celebration, the district celebrate for all the teachers and staff of the classified, and I think it was wonderful to see everybody enjoying and having a good time. And thank you for all you do every day. It is not easy, and especially you guys are at the front of the line every single day. And these past 2 years we've been, with a lot of things changing. And also I had the opportunity to go to the promotion of TK and Kinder at Cesar Chavez early morning. It was nice to see all the parents and grandparents showing up to see the child, seeing the students singing and performing for their parents. That was really nice. And then also I had the opportunity to go in the afternoon to the 6th grade promotion at Arroyo Seco Academy. Really nice. It was so nice to see all the people back, and it's nice to go in and starting doing those things back. I really appreciate that. And also had the opportunity to see the over 350 students promoting for Vista Verde, moving on to the high school. We're going to miss those students, leading the district. Hopefully, we're missing 350. Hopefully, we could get those with TK and Kinder incoming year. But at the same time, I want to kudos to Ms. Garcia, her first TK class graduate, and I saw one of the students being a valedictoria, and then that was really nice. Those 22 students that started that first time hearing USD being the TK, so it was so nice to see that and see the progress and continue. Hopefully, those students how they perform in high school. So that's nice to track those students. So. I want to say thank you. And also for the record, talking aloud now that teachers came here to support our Assistant Superintendent Cortez, saying that she has not got a raise, just for clarification and just for the record. She got 4% back in 2019. All the staff got 4%. And also back for this school, for this year, everyone got 4% a raise. So just for the record and being transparent, seeing that she has not get any raise.
Thank you, Ms. Heredia. Trustee Madrid.
Good evening, everybody. I want to start off with thanking the community for being here with us and voicing their concerns. That I really appreciate that. Also, I was able to attend just one promotion, which was Vista Verde Middle School. Unfortunately, I work, so I don't get to come to everything. But I do want to say, it was a great promotion. It was nice to see the students. Last year we had a drive-by. So this time we were able to be out there and just see everybody. Drive through. Sorry. I caught myself. And I want to wish everybody a great summer.
Thank you for that.
Okay, I made you guys laugh.
I also had the opportunity to go to the 6th grade promotion at Cesar Chavez with Mr. Khan and Assistant Superintendent Ms. Cortez. Really nice to see the parents there waiting and excited, and the kids just, it was nice. It was nice to see that there was a good turnout there. I also got to attend on the same day, we kind of left Mr. Khan because we were trying to make out to the other promotion, so I was able to go to the one in Arroyo Seco where Ms. Heredia was there too. Just really nice stuff of hearing the students talk, say their speeches. It's just really nice to see how the teachers are preparing our kids to public speak and say, what they feel or what they think. I thought that was amazing. And also we got to all together go to the promotion of the 8th graders at Vista. That was really nice. I'd like to thank Greenfield High School for hosting us and allowing us to conduct our promotion there for the students. It was also nice to see the principal of the high school, Ms. Matos, welcome her new students, as she said, and I really appreciated that she addressed them. So that was really nice. And so that was a full week of promotions this week, and then we were able to sneak into the Mary Chapa one here too, across the way for 6th grade, I believe. So that was really nice to see that the parents were there supporting their kids, and also kids being able to speak and say their speech. I also was able to attend with the rest of my fellow board members the end of the year celebration, which I really appreciate for all of you, for the teachers and staff. I think this year admin did a phenomenal job of assuring that even the afternoon employees attended, so custodians that usually work the evening were able to go. After school program, I loved the camaraderie that they have, how they didn't want to not have after school because they know the importance of it for the kids, and so they were taking turns in showing up and having their dinner and then coming back. So I just thought that it was very impactful to see the camaraderie between staff to staff. I appreciate the camaraderie between both unions. That day it was nice to see that their enjoyment and of spending time together. I said it there and I'll say it again, we really appreciate everything that you all do, because in one way or another, whether it's one union or the other, you all make an impact in the lives of our students here, and you do it gracefully. You do it because you love what you're doing and you believe in the district. And moving forward, we're not perfect and there's always room for growth. I also appreciate the voices that come and really speak up for these important matters, because I think that we do need to hear and try to work together because we are a whole community, and I think that we all have the same interest of just making it better for our students here in our community and just bridging our community to being the best that it can be, because I truly believe that here in Greenfield, we're it compared to other neighboring cities along just city and district. I just really believe in my community, and maybe I'm oblivious to it, but I'm a Greenfield grown. I'm proud to say that my kids go to school here across the way, and I really do believe in my community. And so I just hope that everyone has a great summer, enjoy their summer, and those who are not gonna have summer, well, we'll just keep working and enjoying or being happy that you all get a summer off or summer break. Thank you. Now we have a superintendent's report.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to our labor partners. A sincere sense of gratitude. People say we're lucky. We're not lucky. We work really hard for the relationships that we have. We value you and you value us. And that was testimony here tonight. And my heart is full of gratitude to be able to lead this district with you. It's not one person, it's all of us collectively together. So I want to take this opportunity to thank our Board of Trustees for the leadership and the opportunity to continue to lead in this district. I want to thank my partner, Assistant Superintendent Cortez, for the work that she leads as my sister in all the efforts that we do. I want to thank this entire administrative team for the day-to-day work that you do and the tireless efforts that you put in to everything that you serve. I want to thank CSEA, our classified labor partners who are the backbone of our district. You live in our community, the majority of you, and we couldn't do the work that we do without you. So just want to tell you how much we appreciate you. And to our teachers, our GTA partners, our CTA affiliates, just thank you for all of your effort. I know it's not always the popular thing to stand united with community and to serve, but we are stronger together. We're better together, and every move that we make in our district, when morale is popular and where culture is good, our students benefit. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you do and your efforts for being here tonight. It really says a lot, and we definitely love and appreciate you. Also want to share that we got to enjoy lots of promotions from our littlest preschoolers, TK, 6th graders, kindergartners, and of course our 8th graders that we wished well off to the high school. And so I want to thank everyone for partaking in that. During this last month, since our last meeting, we also got to celebrate our induction teachers who earned their preliminary credential. I want to thank our mentors out there and our teachers, because it's not easy to be a teacher. There's lots of tests you have to take and lots of assignments you have to submit. So that was a really great celebration that was put on by our academic coaches and Ms. Cortez. This Saturday, we're really excited that the fun doesn't stop. We're having a STEM Academy right here at the district office with our coaches are leading it as well as the county office, and it's the South County one. So if you have children, please join us from 10 to 2. Chevron, partners with Chevron and other affiliates gave our South County partners over $20,000 to do some really great projects and some builds with our kids and their families, as well as bringing an author to sign books on engineering. So definitely join us if you can. Echo the celebration that we had over at Scheid Winery. Thank you to our CBO and all of the team members who reached out to our partners. Thank you, Lozano Smith, for your donation as well. Because it's all donated funds, and we raise over $10,000 to be able to give that back to our staff. And so we're really grateful for our partners who allow us to do that with their generous donations. We are looking forward to a fabulous summer academy. We are using our grant dollars as close to kids as possible. There'll be some STEM education, some literacy, some numeracy, awesome teachers, awesome team members. We heard our CSEA president is going to be there running the office show. And coffee. And that's it. And the kids are going to have a blast. Last year we had a phenomenal program, and I know we're going to have an equally great one this year to celebrate our kids and keep them solid in learning throughout the summer. And I think that is my message for you tonight. The only other thing I do want to share that was alluded to earlier was our beloved Miss Heckman. And you know, sometimes things happen, sometimes other sources within the universe kind of guide things to happen on a certain day. And so tonight we do celebrate her. We know she's with us here in spirit. I had the good fortune of being a co-teacher. Dee was one of the very first teachers I met when I became a teacher in Greenfield in 1993, and she was my neighbor. and definitely welcomed me and looked at my room and said, "Why are you doing all this?" And so I know she's here with us today in spirit, but just want to read to you and continue to celebrate her life because of what she did. As Madam President mentioned, she was not only a teacher, a community member, a coach, a mentor. She was, when I was a teacher, the GTA president for 12 years. So she definitely gave her life to education and to supporting. And I want to read the card to you that just came in the mail to us today. And it was addressed to GUSD Attention Claudette from her in her mailbox. And so here's what Ms. Heckman said. You all, I gotta put my glasses on. You all have given me purpose during a serious struggle. I appreciate so much of being a part of the team. Now I'm going away and wish the best for you all. I'd like to start a scholarship in my name for $50 for 5 Vista Verde kids, 2 for math, a male and a female, 2 for science, a male and a female, and 1 for an all-around great student that is fun to teach. The teachers get to choose. Please include my aunt, Joyce Cooper, and she gives her phone number. Thanks, Dee. And with a big smile, she put, all means all. And inside, yes, we can clap for her. Inside was a check she wrote out of her personal bank account for $1,000. So very grateful, and we know that she will continue to bless her presence with us here.
Thank you for that. And now we're moving on to Ms. Cortez. Did you want to?
Thank you all. I don't usually have a spot here, but I did want to address everyone here today and just echo what Superintendent Galvan said, and that is from the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to try not to get emotional, but this is a very emotional night. 5 years ago, I came excited to serve the kids in classes that I identify with. Thank you. And I vowed to work really, really hard for these kids. And I am so grateful that I have not failed them or any of you. What I didn't know is that I was going to be met with classified, certificated, administrative staff, a board that all shares the same mission, and that is to be here for students and to do everything that we can for students. And that, my friends, makes this district extremely magical. To see that it doesn't matter whether you're certificated, classified, or management, we all come together for our students. And that is something that not every district has. And we need to value this. And we have Mr. Lozano here who can probably vouch for that. Very rare when unions come out in support of administration. And I want to say thank you. I also want to say a special thank you to Ms. Barba, because one thing that I want to say about Ms. Barba is that she will always stand up for what's right. And it doesn't matter if it's difficult or not, because she truly believes in this community. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than Superintendent Galvan. This has to do with the community. And if she didn't believe that we were quality administrators, she would not have done half of the things that she has done. But she does it because she too serves the students of GUSD. So to all of you, I want to say this is GUSD. This is an amazing district, and I will continue to work hard and to dedicate everything that I do each and every day to serve all of you and to serve students. Thank you.
Thank you.
We, the parents,
And now moving on to proposed local accountability plan, the Lcap, for 2022-2023.
This is the public hearing for the Lcap, our local control, thank you. This is our public hearing for the Lcap, our local control accountability plan. As you know, board, we have been bringing you quarterly reports. So you, just last meeting, we gave you the most recent quarterly report with all of the data for all of the local and state indicators. So I won't take too long, but I do want to just give you the last bit of information prior to our public hearing. And so here's the purpose of tonight's presentation, to share with you what the Lcap is. This was our timeline from last year moving into this next year. I want to share with you the stakeholder engagement that was phenomenal, led by Director Mezcua, and our local and state accountability measures that are part of the metrics that will be used to judge the Greenfield Union School District. So here's the timeline. So as you know, we've had our Lcap with us since 2013, so almost 10 years. And so throughout this process, we engaged our community and our students, as well as our parents and our staff members, to be able to bring to you the Lcap that we have here today. Okay, so there is the number we're very proud of, led by our family and community engagement team, Director Mezcua, and all of our fabulous community liaisons. So we engaged almost 5,000 stakeholders, gave their voice to the Lcap that you have here, which surpasses even the number of enrolled students that we have in our district. And so you'll see there, it was quite a phenomenal job that they did to make sure that we had voice represented in the Lcap. As you recall from each of our quarterly reports, here are the accountability metrics. So this was the very last, as you recall, the very last time that we had some state data was 2018. I'll remind you, the next slide shows a lot of red that when we started this journey together in 16-17, this was the color system that we had inherited as a district. And now going into my 6th year with you and this team here, the last time we had our metrics is on the next slide, which you'll see a lot of elimination of red. So we're anticipating continuing to progress forward. This is the first year after a couple that we do have state data when it comes to language arts and math. Okay, and on the next slide, as you recall, there it is, our strategic plan right behind you that represents what's in our Lcap. Okay, next slide. Here are our goals, once again, that our stakeholders affirmed. They want us to continue with culture, academics, and community as those 3 major areas. And on the next slide, these are the action statements. So when we looked at our stakeholders survey, because our Lcap gets as close to students as possible, for example, the field trips to universities, every single grade level, every single year, our family and community liaisons are in there, our academic coaches, the materials and supplies to be able to purchase the academic materials to be able to progress our students are all represented in the Lcap. Okay, and the next slide is goal 2, and the next slide is goal 3, and then the next slide is our budget. And so tonight, after I sit down, you'll hear from our CEO, Mooneyham, as well as our fiscal analyst, Ms. Yanez. That'll tell you a little bit more about the budget. But this right here represents our total budget and the separate set aside that goes to concentration and supplemental dollars.
Superintendent Galvan,
Yes.
real quick.
Yes.
You have 36 up there and it's 46 on here.
And it's a different amount from last
Yeah.
year.
The one you have in your hand is the correct one. The Lcap number is 12,331,189.
So it's just increased for the concentration amount. All right. And on the next slide is our final recap. So tried to give it to you in a nutshell because you've been accustomed to seeing this slideshow quite a bit throughout the year. This is just a final summary. And then attached to our board agenda is the entire Lcap that we have presented to you for public comment next and be submitted to the county office for their review. Okay, any other questions?
I have a question. So
Yes.
for this, the amount of money that you show, that 10,000, that was last year, 21, 22, and now this is gonna be the 12,000?
12 million.
12 million, yes.
That's for this coming year?
Yes.
Yes, so that was comparatively, and then now the next year we have an increase.
So increase like about 2
Yeah,
million.
so this was a review of last year and then a forward thinking into next year. So the one you have in front of you is what's gonna be for next year.
For next year.
Yes. So it's great, we're getting a little bit more.
And going back, Superintendent Galvan, going back to the changes or results of the increase, that's the results for 2019
Which slide are you on? Which one?
the slides.
Show me on your packet and I can be able to see. Yes, so that was the most recent, which was in the 2018-19 school year.
Because we didn't have one in 21.
Right, for
20
2
and-
years, yes.
So until this year?
This year, 2022.
And they're gonna be releasing that data until what, September? or
Probably
what?
August, September is what they're saying, yeah. It's supposed to be faster because all electronic, but they're telling us more August, September. But as soon as we know, we'll be able to calculate and share.
Okay, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
That's nice that we got more money.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Now, moving on to the public hearing proposed local control accountability plan. I'm going to open it for public hearing at 9:41. Does anyone have? Okay. I will be closing it at 9:42. And so now we're moving on to proposed budget report for 2022-2023.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. Appreciate your time tonight so we can visit yet one more budget year coming up. I feel like I just presented this to you. All right, so moving on to the 22-23 proposed district budget. Are you guys clicking? Okay, I'm looking for clicker. All right, so can we go on to the first slide, please? So we're going to look at our assumptions for the next year's budget. So looking at the statutory COLA, we have a 6.56% COLA for this next year. And moving forward, you can see that on the slides. I won't read them all to you. We have STRS employer statutory benefits, 19.1%. Run the next slide, please. Oh, it's a phaser. Oh, sorry. And a bouncer. All right, and then we have PERS at 25.37, but if you watch the years going by, PERS is actually going down a little bit. As Mr. Kong pointed out earlier, we're still waiting on legislative action and assembly action to get those rates down year over year, but we have not heard yet, so right now we're only representing what we know. Unemployment insurance rates will go from 0.5 to 0.2, which is great. That means our unemployment insurance needs are going down as well. Moving on, looking at the next slide, we have more assumptions from our state partners, our county partners, our partners with school services, CSBA and Csca. So they share with us all of their assumptions moving forward, and those are what we use. So you'll see lottery, the unrestricted portion that we can use for anything as discretionary as we would like. The restricted lottery is for textbook adoptions, the state level ones, to be used for that only. We have a mandated block grant that comes in. We have a state preschool part day and a full day, although we only do full day. So, but these are the numbers that they give us, and then we contribute 3% of our general fund expenditures into routine restricted maintenance. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, thank you. Looking at the Lcf funding factors. So you notice that our Lcf numbers went up for the Lcap and our dollars. So what happened there was, and I'll explain this because it looks like a $2 million increase. So our EPA dollars went down. So when that happens, and it's not a bad thing, when that happens, the state still equalizes us and puts it in the base. So we end up, there's that balancing scale. So they take it from one area, but they put it in another. And it becomes less restrictive. So, and that's a good thing because it contributed more to our LCAP dollars. Okay, so we start with a base grant in 22-23 by grade level. You'll see that in the first column. We add the 6.56% COLA, and then they also gave us an additional LCFF investment per ADA, which you'll see in that third column over, and it gives us a new base grant amount starting with K3 of $88.90, 4 through 6, $9,024, and 7-8 of $92.91. Taking those amounts, we move into the next slide, please. And then we add in our grade span adjustment for K through 3 of $925, which gives us a new base amount for just K through 3 of $98.15. The other two stay the same. Moving on to the next slide with those numbers. We then get to figure out what we get in supplemental and concentration dollars, which is entirely our Lcap. So down the middle, you'll see a 20%. That's 20% of the first column for $98.15. You get that much more funding towards our Lcap dollars. So that's a supplemental amount. The third column, if we have more than 55% students that are in those special categories, whether they are free and reduced, homeless, foster youth, we get an additional amount of money. So we get another 65% on top of that very first number, the 98.15, and that column. So that gets added in, and between those two, that's what comes up with the $12,331,189 for Lcap. That number is like burned in my brain right now. Obviously, right? Okay, so moving on to the next slide, please. So to Greenfield, what this means is we're getting an average funding level per student of $13,065.89. On that one it says 13, so we're going to go with the one that's on the slide. Okay, because it's an average number, it's going to fluctuate a little, okay? All right, so ultimately that end number is correct. It is $43,974,000, same thing as on my sheet, okay? Okay, what that's comprised of is that it includes our Lcap, it includes all of our base dollars, it includes our property taxes and our EPA. All right, so everything is folded into there. It does not include our state funding and federal funding. That's entirely different. Moving on to the LCFF breakdown. So that same number is at the very top. Okay, so we have an award in there. You'll see the transitional kinder and the transportation. Those are add-ons inside our LCFF. We get funded for transportation based on 1213. So our numbers in 2012, 2013 were very low. It's about $212,000. Our transportation costs are about $900,000. So a very huge difference, and that's again where Mr. Khan was talking about increasing that home to school transportation amount that we get. In the middle, you'll see the concentration. Oh, excuse me. In the middle, you'll see the blue ones, the concentration supplemental. Again, that's $12 million. That's our supplemental concentration Lcap dollars. On the bottom, we don't get necessary small school, but we do get the grade span adjustment and the base grant. So those two together are about $30 million, $30.8 million. Looking at that supplemental concentration $12 million number, please go to the next slide. That takes us into the Lcap. We break that down by goals. So goal 1 is our culture goal. We put $5.5 million into there. Academics has 5.6, and then our community, we put 1.1 million for the grand total of that $12,331,189. All right, next slide, please. And this is where I'll turn it over.
Okay, so moving on, we're going to go into each fund, how each fund is going to, we budgeted each fund. We estimate the beginning balance, the projected revenue is $59 million, and available resources is $72 million. Of those, our expenses are $58 million plus the transfer out that we do to child development because we never have enough for child development. So we have to transfer $289,000, leaving us with $13,282,924. Now that number is a high number. It's a 10%. It goes above the 10% state required reserve. So we need to. What are we going to do with that 10 million? With the 13 million. So we looked at our master facilities plan, and we decided. It's been decided that we're going to commit some of those $13 million to master facility plans. Play structures, basketball courts, flooring, Fernando's fun stuff, painting. We're going to include some for new buses. We also included some for district-wide safety, now with all these things happening around our country. More security cameras, fixing our fences, all of our locks. We're also going to put into student staff and technology replacements and repairs. We are doing some also putting some into collaborative materials and services, and another project is roofing repairs and replacement at Oak, BBMS, and Mary Chapa. So in total, we're committing $3.3 million. So our estimated ending balance, less commitments, is $9,922,000. Next slide, please. So the reserve for economic uncertainties, the state requires we have a 3% reserve. Our board requires a 4%. And for this year, we actually are at 9.48%, which is $5,568,000. So in the previous slide, it was 9 million. What's the difference? The difference is the remainder is restricted money, meaning it's tied to certain rules and regulations that we cannot touch. So these 5 million is what is our actual reserve. Next slide, please. Just the general here from the total revenue, I'm showing you where we get our money. The majority of it is LCFF. We also have other state, federal revenue, and local revenue. It's kind of a little pie chart of where the money comes from. Next is our expenditures, the same thing. Where do we spend our money? We spend most of our money in salaries and benefits, and it's broken down by certificated and classified. And the other areas, books and supplies, other services, contracts and things like that, capital outlay, and other outgoing.
I just want to share that right now, we have a 64.5% allocation going towards benefits or salaries and benefits. Most districts are at 85 plus. We're really low, so I think that's something to be really proud of our partnerships with GTA and CSEA. We've all worked together to keep those low so that we can keep kids first all the time. Okay, looking at special education, next slide please. Special education, we always have an encouragement here. We received $1.9 million. We heard today that we'll probably receive 2.5 because there's an increase at the state level of funding. So 600,000 will come out of that encouragement, thankfully. And a big hats off to Christine, who's been really, trying to find ways to lower that encouragement. So that will go down, but our special ed expenses are still 7.7 million. That's not going down yet. We're working on it by bringing some kids back, but not in these numbers yet because it's unknown. So again, I'm only going to put in here what we know. And then here we go.
Next, we're going to look at all our other funds. Child development, we get $487,000. We get from the general fund because it's costing us $776,850 to run the program. So basically, we're just meeting the needs of the program one way or another. Next slide is Cafeteria Fund, same deal. But we do anticipate our revenue to increase because now all of our children are going to be paid at the free rate, so which is higher than what we were paid before. But as of now, we don't know the rate, so we can't forecast exactly. Next slide is the Special Reserve Fund. That fund is just, doesn't change, pretty much. And
that's the one for the board.
Oh, yeah, that's the one for the board. The board designated it to be there. Okay. Next slide is developer fees. Thankfully, this year we had a lot of developments in the area, in our town. So our beginning balance is higher than has been in many, many years. The revenue is also expected to be higher this year. And our total expenditures, $445,000. So we estimate we should have about $1.2 million left in developer fees for that. The School Facilities Fund is Fund 35. This is where the money from the Prop 51 money is coming in. And hardship funds. Right now, this is what we know. As soon as we have information from Fernando and from our partners, Tri-Group, we will update this and bring it back with hopefully increased number in first interim.
Fund 67 is the next one, is our self-insurance fund, and there we don't anticipate any changes. If any changes come about, we will bring it up in first interim. And that's it.
So we'd like to open it for questions and comments.
Mr. Khan, do you have any questions?
No, it was a great presentation, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll wait for Ms. Heredia because she stepped out. Mr. Madrid?
No, I don't have any.
I'd just like to say that this is really nice to see that we're getting increases in certain areas. I appreciate that our district really has that value of early child development and supporting that, even though, you know, we're spending and not really still receiving. But I think in the long run, the benefit is that our children will be better prepared for when they do initiate kinder or their ongoing years. I also really feel very happy that we'll get an increase on the state level for SPED or special education, because it is an encroachment, but it's a necessary encroachment.
That's right.
And it's important that we can get as many funds as we can to really support our students in any way that we're able to. And
I think it's really important too, and I agree with you, and I feel that some people, like some people in our community don't realize that it's our responsibility to care for SPED students from the day they're born. It's not just the school-age kids. I mean, we have a responsibility to see them through 8th grade.
And on, because it's just a life,
right?
That it's like that. But really good work on this.
Thank you.
And hopefully we keep getting increases and money.
We have to learn more.
Oh.
It's not, the budget is not.
Right, legislature and assembly are still looking at the budget. It's not been adopted yet. So there's talk about taking away the discretionary dollars that I told you about at the workshop. They're talking about taking that away and making it more restricted somehow else. But we're waiting to hear, just like everybody. So
I think too what's great is that the district is really having a great interest in putting our money to our sites to make them as best as we can for our students. The $3 million that we're setting aside for these repairs that are necessary and important is really great. I think too, maybe down the line, depending on how things are going to change with the uncertainty of the safety of our students across the nation, I mean, we might have to just change things around just for safety, because I think ultimately that is our biggest priority, to keep our kids safe. Kids should not be afraid, and neither should staff, to come to school. And it's unfortunate that we have to start preparing for those type of situations and be as equipped as we're able to, and just hope that we never ever encountered what is going on right now in other states.
we agree. I would like to bring up, before I forget, we will have to commit those funds, we will have a resolution come to you at the next board meeting when we adopt the budget that will commit those funds by board action. It will then take board action to uncommit the funds if there is a need later. So I just want to be very clear about that.
Thank you.
I had a question. I know you said that we're going to be purchasing two new buses. New buses, it's going to be small or big. I know we do transfer a lot of students out of the district, so.
That's the buses that we already have encumbered right
Or
now.
electrical?
We have 2 84 passenger and 1 35 passenger. That is wheelchair through capability. So we have 3 buses.
Starting the new school year with new.
Regular, not electric. Although electric might be the way to go right now.
But, yeah. Anything else?
Well, I do have a question about the but because they're too tiny. So I want to.
Yeah, this is the new web-based SAP system.
It's like I'm blind, so I have to go like there. So I had a question in the cash flow, but I could ask you.
There's no cash flow in this report.
And this the report, no?
Yeah, there's no cash flow required for budget.
because on the what's the expenditure functions that I had, what page is it? I think it's page
Can we just
16.
come over there?
16.
What is the question?
On the school year, you had something for 21, 22, and then it goes on the bottom, so the total expenditure, it was like 36, so I don't know if it's 36 or 3, or at the bottom of that.
Okay, so you're looking at it by function, that's part of the account code. So everything in there is delineated by account code. So you're just looking at a part of the budget. Okay, so you're looking at the grand total. So that's all of the functions let's put together. And that would be 36,000, but if this is unrestricted, this is a restricted line, and this is the total, which is down here.
Okay, and my question was the pupil service, I know that budget code, and then one has for, restricted, it's 2.8 or 9, so.
It's 19.7.
19?
Yes. Oh, the top one's $9? Yes. So this is all benefits. Everything in the 3,000 category is benefits. So these are salaries for teachers and certificated administrators, classified, and here's the benefits. So all those put together, this is the total cost of payroll. Those three.
So one of these is, most of the benefits that is for all employees, classified and certified.
Yes, the grand total would be these three lines added together.
That accounts the total amount of 6.346.
So you have to add those three lines together to get the grand total of payroll.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions?
I just want to go ahead that I'm really glad that, you guys are taking steps to secure, our school campuses, for safety. We have to be ready, because we can never say, it won't happen here. So I just wanted to go ahead and say that, okay, what happened to Evalde, they weren't aware that this was gonna happen, with the shootings. And as far as this, I hope that there's counseling also included on this budget, not only for the students, but for the parents, because I've seen a lot of parents hurting after they lost their loved ones out there, or the ones that were injured. So I hope that, there is counseling included for parents also. Thank you.
And I do have a question, yes, regarding, that's probably very important to continue with the bullying, because I really strongly feel that's probably one of the issues that did lead to the unfortunate circumstances in Texas. So I wish for you guys to continue, staff, superintendent, to continue to push, anti-bullying. I've seen so much bullying going on, and that's really scary for, for our kids. Second of all, I just had a question. I know that there was a budget for the playground. I know that Mary Chapa for years has had very, very not so fortunate playgrounds. So I want to see if, I want to push for, better playground for our kids at Mary Chapa. I'm very strong. I love Mary Chapa. I went to that school. My kids went there, so I really see that that's very important. And also to include maybe not, equipment, more, hopscotches to be painted in our ground, and that way kids can also play with that, And I really want to push for that, Mary Chapa's better equipment for our kids. And I know I've seen very horrible stuff there, so please, thank you.
Thank you. And it's true, guys, our community, we don't know if it could happen here. God forbid, the Lord, that doesn't happen, those type of tragedies. I do concur with, the importance of addressing bullying. And with that, I just hope that our community, our parents, bridge and work with us, because sometimes it is challenging. Sometimes schools, not just our district, but any district wants to implement certain rules or certain criterias, and then we encounter the rebuttal of parents that we're not okay with that, or vice versa. It's not our job. at some level in schools too. But it's everyone's responsibility to bridge together, because I 100% believe that absolutely there should not be no bullying. No child should have to ever go through that. And so I think that we are moving into that direction and bringing these important topics, along with offering referrals maybe to parents for mental health, because more than ever, there's just been an increase in mental health issues. So thank you for that. Anyone else? Oh, okay. I will be.
I didn't catch how much was on the reserves, and is that part of the inflation?
Ms. Bonilla?
I'll bring that up for you. Back to Fund 01, please. Go back. Oh, go forward one.
One more.
Right here, right down the center of that column then, you'll see their actual reserve levels. And on the right-hand side is the percentages. We are required as a board to have a 4% reserve. The state requires a 3%. So we currently have a 9.48 for the next year, 8.51% for 23-24, and 24-25 is 9.66. And we will probably be able to commit some funds to keep our master plan running as well within there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Martinez?
No title today. Thank you, Ms. President Jaime. I know I hear the conversation regarding mental health. It's a big issue. It is. And we can't just ignore the fact that, okay, our schools are not safe. Let's make them, more safer. And you and I, we even had this discussion. It can't be something that you guys just kind of like impose. You guys have to include the parents in the conversation. Yes, I get everybody's talking about like, oh, well, let's prevent this, let's do this. You guys get a lot of funding already for the children that are labeled as homeless, foster care, but in reality, what are you guys doing for these kids? I feel like sometimes a lot of the districts and teachers, there's a few teachers, I can't say that all of them, but we have some really good teachers in the district of Greenfield that do go above and beyond to make sure that these kids get that extra love and support. But what happens at the end of the school year, when summer is over, when summer is beginning, they go home. Some of these kids go to a vehicle that's their home. Some of these kids don't have home. Some of these kids don't have a safe home because of parents, because of domestic violence, you name it, whatever the cause is. Like, this is an issue where all of us have to work together as a community, and not just make sure that we kind of label a certain group of kids. It starts with all of us inside the school facilities, and at the same time, there's so many restrictions that we already impose on these children that I feel like we should be allowing them to be part of the conversation as well, instead of like trying to make sure that we do everything for them, that we tell them this is wrong, you're doing it wrong, you're dressing wrong. Especially, I think the crucial age is at Vista Verde. That's when they really need that love and support. They don't need us to be telling them, hey, pick up your pants. Hey, look, take care of your language. Hey, this, hey, that. It's more of like, how are you doing? Is there any way that I can support you? I know that you have issues. I know that you've been cutting yourself, because let's be open about it. Vista Verde, we have a high issue of kids cutting themselves. And I hear it all the time from people working at the hospital. And the sad reality is these kids, they just need that love and support and embrace. They don't need teachers to kind of enforce them and try to tell them who they need to be. No, it's all of us as a community to come together. I just hosted a youth group to celebrate the promoters and the graduates, and it was beautiful. I had this one child that said, I'm not really a big person when it comes to friends. Can I come with a cousin? Can I invite somebody? Sure, come along. And you could have seen his face and that communication that started right then and there with other students. We want to have these safe spaces for them where it's a no judgment zone, not just in the schools, but in the community. And I think it all starts with us. That's the real key to safety. It's not so much cameras, gates, you name it, security guards. It's us, the community, to start working together and really put these funds into good use.
Thank you. And absolutely, I think we do have to bridge and work together. There's just so much that can get done when it comes to this topic, and I agree, we have to be approachable to our students, especially in middle school. Middle school is a very difficult time. I think it's, in my opinion, it's probably a little bit more difficult than high school to some degree. But I just also want to really incorporate the parent component, because that's important. And yes, with the housing, it's just a problem across the county, and it's really hard. As you all know, or most of you know, I work in the nonprofit world, and yes, I'm encountered with what Ms. Martinez just shared about homelessness, and they ask you, like, can you help? But and in my head, I'm like, what do I do? Like, where do I? It's just, I feel like it's a state and a county, and it's just a big problem that hopefully there's more housing that can be affordable for a lot of these families, and just really connect with parents in some way or another through our district. I know that, you know, we have strong cafecitos. We talked a little bit about maybe superintendent hosting one with parents. You know, it's things that can happen, and small steps to get to what or where we need to be really that bridge to work together and help these students succeed, because that's really what it's about. And so now I will be closing at 10:13, the public hearing for proposed budget report 2022-2023. And well, I think we still have, we might have to extend as for a motion for the meeting, but I think we still have time to cover the recording of meetings. Does anyone?
Okay, are you asking?
So, are we doing discussion?
Yes, I'm asking for a motion for discussion of recording of meetings.
So we have to ask a motion first,
Or of a discussion, yeah.
Okay, so, for do you guys have like a plan what type is gonna be like stream? It's gonna be through a YouTube channel? How we're gonna be planning to do the recording or the meeting, or we're gonna have our own? I know the city does, I think they have their own stream in cameras to be able to go live and then to record and keep it there, you know. So it's different methods. So how we're gonna be talking about today, to what is our goal to be able to record the meeting, besides doing through Zoom or YouTube. So
That was one of my questions actually too. Maybe we can do, because I'm okay with being, you know, with the recording, maybe doing a live stream through Facebook.
Or maybe it would be nice too to, I don't know what the pleasure of the board is, maybe look into what the other districts are doing, what method are they using, and what's more accessible, more convenient. That could be a beginning.
And going back, I think one time back in 2015, I think, they looking to doing like the same camera they have at the city hall, and they brought estimate, I think was a little bit, you know, higher, but I don't know, you know, especially right now everything went up. So if you superintendent could do our research and bring like information, you know, this is, you know, if we're gonna have a system here to be able to record it here in the boardroom, that would be great. And then when we go to a different site, we have to go with using something else like Facebook or YouTube. So that's another thing that would be great, to be able to have, you know, records. And it's like trustee Madrid said, it's okay, you know, I think it's good to be able to record the meetings. We doing business on public, doing business of the public and public, so that would be.
Yeah.
I think too, it would be just a good idea to bring back, like, what are the best way or options? Because meanwhile we have Mr. Wes right here recording. You know.
Catch it so don't fall.
So, anyone else? No? Okay.
Can our ITs do it? You know, can we
Well, that's what Ms. Galvan will bring back.
And then are we gonna ask input from the public or from?
Yes.
I just want everybody to see what is so hard to look at this and get on your, live stream. I must have had like 7 calls. They either couldn't hear it or they needed a different number, thanks to Ms. Martinez, Tina. She got the ID and everything. And, I don't know if anybody of you guys have seen, the city of our Greenfield, how they record the meetings. And it's absolutely wonderful. And I think I had mentioned this before, that it would probably be a good idea to look into that. I don't know what the price is, but that would be a good, a way to start, Ms. Galvan, something to look into that. Because you know what, these meetings are important. We need to get this meeting going. I've been asking for maybe over 2 years, but hopefully that we finally can get, this thing over with. Thank you.
Thank you.
For Ms. Diaz, I just want to recognize her for being here. She's, I don't want to say the word, she's going to get me in trouble. No, she's young. She's making an effort, huh, Ms. Diaz? But like I've mentioned in the past, not only because of the facility itself, but we had it in the past where we had that communication, Ms. Galvan, with the school board, and you guys were able to borrow the city's facilities. I mean, that is the taxpayers' building, just as it is here. But you guys have access to our council chambers. I mean, you guys have the cameras there. It would just be probably making an agreement between, Lozano, they work for us, they work for you. So it would be easy, but the facility is there. I mean, come on, it's for the public. You guys have a bigger space, you guys have cameras. And again, it's just because of whole transparency purposes. And at the same time, you do want to have a record of all those videos. And it's always good to go back and see, hey, this is what we did, this is how we voted. Maybe we didn't do it the right way, maybe we want to do something different. Or yeah, you're right, look at how much our schools have grown because of all the past data and recordings that you have. So it's something that hopefully you look into with City Manager Wood, or at least ask to be agendized in the next council meeting. And I'm pretty sure all the colleagues would be on board of letting the board host the meetings there. I mean, that's a facility, again, taxpayers, it's for everybody, so. And that would alleviate many of this stress. Doesn't mean that we want Wes to go away, he could still come, but it's there, it's a big chamber, we have cameras, we have everything. Let's, again, working as a community in partnership, that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. So now I'll open for comment for public before opening for discussion with the board on travel expenses, BPAR 3350 and Bylaw 9250, remuneration, reimbursement, and other benefits. No public comment? No? Okay. So now we'll open it for discussion before taking action, correct?
So I think we're coming back to the board policy 3550. So for determination that changing the language.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ms. Arena, that's 3350 for the record, not 35. Well, unless I'm reading something else here. Oh, on that one, okay, yes. Yes, and I was reading the one on here. Okay.
I'm right or
Yes, sorry.
I
No, you're correct, I apologize.
Okay, so we've been playing back, so now we're gonna be talking on going for action to be able to change the language to for our employees to be able to give full reimbursement mileage for their trip, whatever they decide to go for a conference. I know Trustee Khan just went to Sacramento representing us as county, and then Superintendent went to Sacramento. So I think everyone will be deserved to change that if it's the pleasure of the board. So that's
Anyone else? Do you guys, go ahead. Would you guys be okay with the staff analysis?
Yes.
And then we can continue to discuss? Yes? Do we have staff analysis?
I actually have a little presentation which I just shared with
Great.
you guys.
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
Great.
okay.
So hoping this actually helps you make a decision and move forward. This is, just a little bit of research that hopefully will show you kind of a little history over the last 3 or 4 years so that we can kind of help you move forward with this. Okay, so the purpose of this presentation is to basically review the board policy and the bylaw for the board members on travel reimbursement and conferences. We want to review as requested the actual travel expenses to date for board members. This is the current board sitting at the dais, or the positions of the board. To make changes to the board policy or bylaw as appropriate, to review the current allocation for board members to attend conferences, which is currently at $5,200 per year. We want to review which conferences should be budgeted for 22-23. So let's look at the total cost of the conferences over the last 4 years. And I'm looking at 4 years because that's the board term, right? So we're looking at 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, which was a COVID year and not much happened, and 21, 22. So you can see a list of all of the conferences across the top that were attended, and then the board members down the side, and you can see where they went to each conference. And board members, you guys like to go to different conferences. They cost different amounts. They're in different places. The travel changes depending on which conference you attend. So we all know the CSBA is usually the most expensive one to go to. And you can see the year-by-year changes in the price. So it is going up. It is inflation. That's what happens. NALEO this year has not happened yet, but that amount there. So each of these are the total cost of the conference. It's the hotel rooms, it's the flight or travel, it's any Uber, parking, meals, everything. Okay, so this is the grand total that you requested to go to the conference. This is what it would cost. On the next slide, you can see the total board members in each column, so you can see each individual expense for each year per board member. So the first one is Cindy Aguirre. We included her on here because she was here for part of a year and where Dee Heckman took over. So Dee Heckman and Cindy would essentially be one board member, right? Okay, so just I'm trying to make it apples to apples. I know it's difficult. And then we have Sonia Heredia in yellow. We have the green one, which would be Denise Jaime. We have David Kwong in blue, and we have Jose Madrid in the light blue. So you can see those are just year over year the travel conference request. So if you want to go on to the next slide, please. So we put all of those costs together, and we just have one grand total. This is a 4-year total. So we have 25,000, we have 21,000. You can add up the totals, and you can see kind of what it would cost for each year for a board member to attend all the conferences that you would wish to attend, correct? Go on to the next one, please. So let's look at the reimbursements that you actually got after you traveled and you came back. So each one, again, is listed by conference that you attended and each board member, and the grand total across the line is what each member had been reimbursed for. So the amount of the reimbursements is important because what you were approved for may not be the actual reimbursement that you receive when you get back. We all know that sometimes vendors treat us out to meals. You wouldn't include that meal then in reimbursement because you didn't pay for it. Your travel may be a little different than one board member or another, but you all get approved on the same amount before you go so that it's equal and it's even to go. So those reimbursements do matter. Can you move forward to the next slide, please? And again, there's a bar graph showing each individual board member by color. The first two are Dee Heckman and Cindy Aguirre. We have Sonia Heredia. We have Denise Jaime, David Kong, and Jose Madrid at the end. Next slide. And this is the combined total, again, looking at it in the same view as we did as the conference requests. Next slide, please. So what we would recommend, what I would recommend as the CBO, because it would make my life easier and your life easier, I hope, we would propose to increase each individual board budget to $10,000. I know I hear whistling back here, but if you looked at the grand total across the years, we have been in COVID for about 3 years. Prices have gone up, we realize that. We also recommend that you take a look at the bylaw, you take a look at the board policy, and make the changes that you feel you need to make tonight collectively as one board. The reason why we go to the 10,000 is we figured if you selected 3 conferences to go to throughout 1 year, it would cost you about $10,000 to go. It would cost the district about $10,000 for you to go. And that does not mean we would take out anything. This is one budget. We won't come back to the discussion anymore of, is this going to be included in our budget and charged against us, or is it not? Because ultimately, you have 2 budgets. You just increased your budgets, but just created a different one. So it gives me a little bit more control on the budget, because if you're going to CSBA and it's not charged your $5,200, what's being charged to the $5,200? There's not a whole lot. It's all out here, and it's really hard for the public to see it, and they have a right. So that's where I'm going with this. I think it should be all wrapped up in one. Anything but masters in governance, the district will continue to cover, because we wish for you to be great board members, very effective board members. So we'll continue to cover that. However, we would like to increase the budget to 10,000 and have all of the conferences included. So you choose the 3 you want to go to throughout the year. If you can fit a 4th one because one's less expensive, do 4. But we would like to put everything in there, the reimbursements, the cost of the conference, everything. And my suggestion is to really look at the board bylaw and the board policy, and really look at the one paragraph where it talks about you getting reimbursed at the same rate as the employees.
Yeah.
Revisit that, talk about it. Okay? Thank you.
Does anyone have questions?
I do have a question. Thank you, Annette, for bringing the graph and doing that. So it was not able to see all the names, so, and then asking some of the conference, but I know you said you did it from 2018 all the way to 21, 22. And this year, are you including the NALEO conference that is happening?
Not on the reimbursements, only on the conference piece of it, the cost of conferences, that's in there. That's what we're, try to work those numbers up, and those are what we're assuming that is going to cost.
Did you include it to add or figure out that number for that final 10,000? Is that why you included it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we really want to look at the whole cost, and we want to include, that's one of the more expensive ones. It's almost equal to CSBA. So we want to make sure we include it, because we know that both of you and you would like to attend that one.
And me.
So, and you. So there you go. We want to make sure that we have everything included. And it looks to be about $10,000 per board member. And that should cover you to travel whichever way you as a board decide to move forward.
In the reimbursement, I know you put over here like a different, all the
reimbursement amounts.
So this is all the mileage, including the mileage and the meals, correct?
Correct. Any parking, any Uber, anything that you had to be reimbursed for.
Would come out of those 10,000.
Well, no, she's looking at the reimbursement cost per board member. So in that number is anything that you submitted receipts for, and your meals.
Because in this, I was, that's including the meals, tickets, parking.
Correct, and it's under the current board policy, so whatever you that's actual reimbursements that you're looking at. That's what you receive checks for.
Anybody have questions?
No, well, thank you for, bringing that.
Mr. Khan?
Perfect, thank you. If you need me to read
So now going back to the work policy.
Oh,
Go ahead.
No, I was
No,
gonna
I'll
say-
give you your time. No, I don't want to.
So, what is your again, your recommend actions to increase the amount to 10,000?
Your budget amount per board member to 10,000
And that
per board
includes
member.
CSBA and.
Yes, and then at the beginning of each year, it would be really great if you could kind of pick the conferences that you want to go to, so that way I can let you know what you might have left to do one more thing with, or if you're gonna hit your max. So whatever you decide to do, if you decide to change that board policy to state that, you don't have to get the reimbursement for the cost of the flight and the mileage to and from the airport and all of that stuff wrapped up
Because that would all
in
be
one.
included, right?
If you decide you want to fly, if you decide you want to travel by car and get the full mileage reimbursement, you have a $10,000 ceiling. Once you hit that, if you go over, that's on you.
But I
It's
think
just
I'd
something you
rather-
consciously would have to make a decision on.
Yeah, and I think I will need to change the board policy travel for the mileage.
Yes,
I would like
you would have to
change it.
take off like the "and" piece of that bylaw.
So we'll have to make the law
Yeah.
and change it.
It's like the last literally 5 words of the bylaw that talks about "and" matched personnel. So if you wanted to change board policy, that's another discussion.
You want to change?
Because board policy would affect all employees.
Yeah, we
The
need-
bylaw is what affects the board.
I think maybe changing the, all employees, the work policy for every employee to have the right to, get the same amount of mileage. I know someone said they go, abroad, I don't know, far.
I didn't put a recommendation for employees because
Yeah,
I
it was
am
just
one.
board. It was just
So-
board. Yeah.
But, yeah, but we're changing the board policy, that's why we were discussing.
That's what she's saying, it was just for.
For board,
For board, the bylaw.
just for board.
Just the bylaw for board.
I didn't make a recommendation for the policy because I am an employee and need you guys to make that decision.
No, I know, but I'm just talking now, going back, you make that recommendation for the board, but I'm going back to the board policy and thanks for the
Yes.
recommendation that you
Okay.
Does anybody have questions, comments?
The public? I'm like, the public? I'm
Yes.
gonna have to make you say that, President Jaime. Wow, I don't agree with Mooningham most of the time, like hardly ever, but 10,000, that is good.
Can we clap?
I know, right? You're making her all excited now. That's amazing for us as council, and I'm speaking as a council member, we only get 3,000. I mean, and it's so hard to be in those positions because you want to be updated constantly as a professional to be able to do a better job as a board member, as a council member, to be able to connect with other people across the country, not just California. Think outside the box, nationwide. You get to learn what other districts are doing in other cities. Naleo is amazing, it's great. I'm glad that Mooningham brought that up. It is expensive, but in the long run, what Naleo has is that once you become a member with Naleo, and I'm not a spokesperson, they're not paying me to do this, but you pay your membership and you constantly qualify for scholarships. I've had so many scholarships with Naleo, which is amazing. You make that connection with Arturo Vargas, which is the CEO, and you make that connection with other board members, and in the future, you yourself could be representing us, Greenfield, in one of those boards. But 10,000, that is a great amount of money that you guys could get. My only recommendation would be that once you guys come back, don't just keep that knowledge. I know sometimes, especially when it comes to like both boards, council and school board, sometimes we get workshops that we know the public is not really gonna be interested about, but if you could bring back and do like a small little slideshow or just like make us be a part of that conference, whether you're recording one of the workshops that would be beneficial, making connections with other board members, that would be my only recommendation. That would, for me as a parent of students, that benefit from you guys as your leadership, I would feel like our taxpayer money would be being used the correct way. So 10,000, I think it's great, honestly. Compared to our 3,000, you guys could definitely get a lot of knowledge and bring it back to our community, to our children. So that's really good.
Thank you. And before we move on, I need a motion to extend the meeting.
I make a motion to extend the meeting.
I'll second that.
And now we'll do roll call vote. Trustee Khan?
Aye.
Trustee Heredia?
Aye.
Clerk Madrid,
Aye.
President Jaime, aye, motion carried.
I think we went over the.
I know, that's what I'm saying, but I didn't want to interrupt. Okay, does anyone have questions, comments?
One from the public.
We have a hand up, we have one more public comment.
I think this is insane. I'm a frugal person, but $10,000 to go to conferences? That money could be used here at home for the kids. Do you ever think about the kids? Do you ever think about updating their laptops, that they have to work with broken ones all the time? What happened to the COVID money? You laugh here and you say, it's silly. It's not silly. This is a lot of money. How many conferences do you have to go a year? I'm lucky that I only choose to go to one. But 4, 5? I see one here that they want to go to New Orleans when you just got back from Washington, D.C. and brought nothing back to the community. That is totally, totally insane.
Thank you. Does anybody have comments, questions here on the board?
I think we've been going back and forth with this, with our reimbursement of the work policy, so we need to see if it's gonna be, I will make a motion to, change the language to, for the, board, for the policy, 3350 for travel expenses, so each employee, could get the same amount of mileage, whatever distance they're going. If they're going to Salinas, they will be the same. And if they're gonna go to a different conference, I think we've been playing, I'll make the motion and.
I didn't get to say my comments, I was just waiting for everybody.
I'm sorry, my apologies to you, President.
No. So, it's true, these conferences are expensive, and we don't go to all of them, or not everyone goes. But it is our responsibility to be as prepared as we are able to by attending, listening to the suggestions of let's bring what's relatable. I believe this board, the times that they have gone to conferences, they do bring back things that are relatable. I think I had brought up the presentation of McKinney and Bento, talked to our Mr. Amezcua about, what we can do and if we can implement anything, but all that takes time. This 10,000, I don't believe that my fellow board members or myself are like, oh yeah, we have $10,000, let's just go to everything, because like Trustee Madrid mentioned, we work, I think we all have jobs here outside of being a board member, so we don't go to everything, and actually we didn't go during COVID, so that saved some, but it's true, they're very expensive. These conferences are expensive, and just as we get to go to some that are relatable to our roles is as much or even more important that we're able to offer the same to our staff. And I think GTA can attest that, they are also able to go and come back and implement what it is that they learn. So I think that what I understood from Ms. Mooneyham is that it's 10,000 altogether combined, whether we choose to drive or fly or what else did we say last time? Roller skate. Then it's from that. So for example, if I go, I don't know, let's do CSBA. How much is CSBA? Can somebody help me here? Because I'm sorry?
About 3,500.
Okay, so that's 3,500. That's just for the conference. And if I decide to fly, does that include the flight? Okay, so 3,500. That means if I go to a second one, it's about ballpark around the same, right? So that's kind of under the 10,000. We might be able to just attend to two, if that, depending on what we return of reimbursements. Whether it's the meals or not, or the suitcase, because some airlines charge you for that, or Ubers. So it just depends on what we submit. And that's to the discretion of each board member, what they want to submit, because they're in their right, or we're in our right to submit those reimbursements. If we do, great. If we don't, then we don't, and it's to our discretion. I think what I understood from you, Ms. Mooneyham, is that there's just basically this fund that has been created previously of the 5,200, and there's 5,200, but it doesn't tap for CSBA or for national CSBA. It doesn't tap onto that. Still, at the end of the day, from what fund is this coming out of?
So both of those amounts are coming, the 5,200 and then the other fund that, 5,200 is not charged for. Those all come out of the general fund and it pulls from the reserves.
So it's from that. And so I feel like this is more transparent, more clean, because like the community members mentioned, like it's 10,000, like it's pretty good. So I think if we're balanced, then that's where we should be claiming our personal reimbursements from that 10,000, because it is a pretty high amount. And then that's where we have that discretion to decide which conference is important for me to go to. I'll use myself as an example. If I already went to the national one, maybe next time I'm not gonna go because I already went to it. And so just be sporadical about what, or intentional about what it is that you want to attend to, and leave it to your discretion, and decide from there. Does anyone else have questions or comments? Public, board?
I have a comment. I don't know if I could go back again, but I'm taking your minutes, Mr. Kong. But basically what I'm saying, like, yes, you guys do come back and you give a report, because technically that's what every board has adopted in the past. I know once you go on city dime or school board dime, you have to technically come back and report. Now there's boards, like for instance, my board, MST, we have to do a written report. What I'm saying is think outside the box when you do that. Not just report, because sometimes you're talking, but then you don't realize there's members of the audience that don't even have translation, don't even understand what you're saying. And what you want to make it is more inclusive, to the fact that you could do like a PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if you saw the one that I did regarding one of my NALEL scholarships. Also bringing back the information that I get, like offering an emergency preparedness workshop with our chief, that type of information. Like it's even bringing back a souvenir from wherever city you go, especially you as school board members, bring back a book. I know at one point I was doing that for the city and donating the books to the library, but that's something that goes above and beyond to the community, that you are making us be a part of that conference. You're bringing back a little piece, not just your oral report, but something that you learned that other school boards are doing and that you want to come and adopt it here right in our community of Greenfield. That's what I was thinking, like think outside of the box, that type of way. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Diaz, are you gonna go for it?
I am, if I can get there. My question to Ms. Mooneyham, I just wonder what, this $10,000 is for each yearly, right? So let's say all the board doesn't do the whole 10,000 each. Where does that money go?
Use it or lose it. It stays in the reserve.
So it stays in the reserve?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just had one final, comment. Yes, we do go to some of these conferences. We also go to events where we advocate for the students, and we advocate for more money for education. So when I go to Sacramento, I'm representing not just here, but I'm representing every school board member in Monterey County, and when we meet, when we have those meetings up in Sacramento, we meet with our elected officials. We're talking about, make sure that we remember to include money for transportation, for LCFF, so we're actually trying to, so it's not just, well, we're just having fun out there and, we're also trying to do some good, so. Okay, so what little we spent on those trips, it comes back, many-fold. Thank you.
And I will make my own last statement. I don't think if we could be able to increase it or not increase it, and I think as a public officials, the only thing we bring in best is just like back and forth. And so when sometimes we go to a conference, we go to a conference to advocate for our community to learn and bring it back. At the same time, sometimes we bring different ideas to the district and representing. So it's a professional development for the board members and who please to wanted to go and get their professional development. And I think we are just stuck with this item. So for me, I've just changed the mileage. If you don't want to change the amount of the conference, I think we could live with it. But we need to change our travel mileage for employees and for because this is a poor policy that we've been playing back and forth with it.
I think that the recommendation was just for us.
But this is a board policy that we put it here, President Jaime, to change the language. It's the pleasure. So I'm making the a motion to remove that 200 mileage for each employee, and including board members, but it's for employees because whatever it goes for the employees, it goes for the board members. So I'll make the motion to be remove the language of the 200 mileage, and each person, employee and board member could get the same amount of mileage wherever they go, 20 miles or 200 miles or 600 miles.
I'm waiting for you.
I think you need a second to be able to discuss it.
I think that we really just need to make a decision on this. I really appreciated that suggestion of the 10,000 because it's clear as water. If we go and drive, fly, roller skate, it comes out of that. And it's per board member and it's transparent, it's clear of how much we got, we know, because at the end of the day, these two little budgets that were created, they're still coming out of the general fund. So it just goes back and forth and going into circles. I can't attest or say what goes on with what the staff or what the recommendation is because of, just what it would do to our budget, and if it's a recommendation for all of us to change it for everyone, or if it should just be for board. But I would like to do the amount that was recommended by the staff.
President Jaime, just for the board?
Yeah, because I think that that's what's been in question. The board. Anyone else? If not, so we can make a motion?
There was a motion on the table. No.
So that motion died. Can we make a motion? Or does anyone want to make a motion to change the wording as was recommended and use the 10,000 per board member?
I think I was make a motion to remove the language of the 200 mileage, and that goes for employees. This is a board policy, so I'm changing and modifying the board policy. So removing the mileage amount from the board policy, and just the trip of the mileage.
Do we have a second?
Can you restate the?
Restate it, Ms. Heredia.
So your quick question.
I will make a motion to modify the board policy, regulation 33 and 15, travel expenses,
removing the language that says the determination of mileage of 200 to go back to the equal amount of mileage of the trip for and back.
For board or for board and staff?
This is the board policy for employees, and it applies for the same this is the board policy for employees and applies the same for board members. If we want to change the board members, we could go back to the 92. I have a motion on the table.
Yeah, well, that's the one I'm talking about, changing the 92 for board members.
I'm talking about the 3350. We'll start with that one.
For the staff and board?
Yes, for the staff.
Okay, so you made that motion, do we have a second? We don't have a second. Okay, so the motion died. Now, can we make a motion for the board? Does anybody want to make a motion? If not, that one's gonna die too, so. I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to change it for board, on using the 10,000, per board member, including their reimbursements of whether they decide to drive or fly, or skate or run or train or anything, of transportation.
I'll second that.
Okay, so now, we're gonna do roll call vote. Trustee Khan.
Aye.
Trustee Heredia.
Nay.
Trustee Madrid.
Aye.
President Jaime. Aye. Motion carried. Go ahead.
Since we're talking about traveling,
Well, I already went through, but.
it won't make a difference, but we're talking with the board members, staff, and in my 8 years of being here, probably even longer for everyone, I've never been denied a field trip for students. Like, we've planned so many science camp, traveling, taking it. We just got back from the Tech Museum last week. We've never been denied a field trip for students. So this is, it's just a testament that our district really puts students first, on the front, and also takes care of our staff, board members, and everybody. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to the cancellation of regular board meeting on July 14, 2022. Do we have staff analysis or?
Thank you. Last board meeting was a request from our board to put this on here for discussion. In non-pandemic years, we usually canceled our July meetings. The last couple of years, we have had them just because of the unpredictability. I think we're in a good position to be able to cancel the July meeting if the board so chooses to do so. So our recommendation would be to cancel that meeting and resume in August.
Does anybody have questions or comments?
No, I'm ready to make the motion.
Okay. All right, so I need a motion.
Right. I would like to make a motion to cancel the regular board meeting of July 14th.
I second that.
Okay, now we'll do roll call vote. Trustee Khan.
Aye.
Trustee Heredia.
Aye.
Clerk Madrid.
Aye.
President Jaime. Aye. Motion carried. Now moving on to the adopted governance calendar 2021-2022 and draft governance calendar 2022-2023. Do we have a motion
Can we discuss?
or discuss?
But it's kind of tiny. I don't know if it would, could approve and bring it back for.
You want us to bring it back?
But it's already on the table. We have to.
We'll make a motion to bring it back.
To bring it back because it's really tight and really tiny, and I guess we're ready. I need like a.
Is there any staff comment
I
before
think there
we
is.
talk about it? Or?
So you have an electronic copy that we gave you as an attachment. And so what we did is we rolled over the one from this year that you had agreed on this current year, into next year as a draft. So if there's anything that you'd like to adjust, you can let us know. But this will go into effect, and then we can hang it back here behind the dais as kind of the months. When you did the workshop last year, these were the recommended months. So we rolled it over, so it's probably going to be pretty consistent with what you did this year.
I'm gonna shush you.
I think the next time a little bit bigger because it's kind of hard, to read the print. It's too tiny.
Do you want to bring it back bigger, or
Yes,
what
I'm
would
going
you?
to bring it back to our next board meeting. I will make a motion to table this the adopted governance calendar 22-23 for the next school year because the other one was adopted already.
I'll second. Now we'll do a roll call vote.
Okay.
Trustee Khan.
Aye.
Trustee Heredia.
Aye.
Trustee Madrid.
Aye.
President Jaime, aye. Motion carried. And now moving on to the credential approval for teachers. Oh, sorry. Going back to item number 4, CSBA Board Self-Evaluation Survey. So I'll open it for discussion. Do you guys have questions or comments?
I think this, we usually do it on the month of May, and last past year we didn't do it, and I think it will be too late for now to do it, but when we bring back the governance calendar, we could add it for next school year. And I know the best way, it's good to evaluate yourself, but I think the best way that people evaluate it by, elections. But for right now, it's late to do it in August, so we could bring it back for next year to put it in the calendar, governance calendar for the month of May to keep it that way.
In May? Anyone else?
And the cost is $200 if we do it ourselves, or?
We could do it ourselves too because we have it done both ways.
In the past, we had Sarah from Lozano come and
do it, and the other one we had through CSBA,
But
and
that
we
was
are,
more expensive.
we answer all the questions, and but we could do it,
What do you guys recommend? Would you guys like for Sarah to come back, or would you like?
Just for the survey.
So the 200 is just for the survey.
And bring it back and discuss it here.
So would you guys like for Sarah to come back and?
We could do the survey and just bring it back, and we have to discuss it here in the public, and we have to do it, if we're gonna do it like that day that we're here, because in the past we had choosing our answers here and popping up in the screen, so.
She facilitates.
I think that we should put it back like how Trustee Heredia was suggesting, and we bring Sarah to facilitate it from Lozano.
Yeah.
When would you like? August, what's the first? We can schedule.
Yeah, we can. I mean, August could be. Anybody? Or you guys want to wait till May? Because we haven't really had it due to pandemic. It's kind of been.
We had it once.
Yeah, we only had it. That I recall, only one time for me, that I recall. And I think to Mr. Khan, one time.
Yeah.
And so, to me, I feel like it's been overdue. So maybe if we don't bring it back in August, maybe September. I mean, what is the pleasure of the board?
We could bring it back in August.
I mean, listening,
Okay,
whatever you all want to.
I'll make a motion to bring the SBA board on self-evaluation survey for each board member for the month of October 2022.
I'll second that.
Okay, now roll call vote. Trustee Khan?
Aye.
Trustee Heredia?
Aye.
Trustee Madrid?
Aye.
And President Jaime? Aye, motion carried. Now, moving on to the credential approval for teachers. Any staff analysis?
Good evening, everyone. This request is for provisional interim permits for 3 of our teachers for the next year, and this will allow them to serve in the assignments that are identified in this document.
Does anyone have questions?
This is you guys requesting for the waiver through the state for these 3 teachers to be
Yes.
teaching this subject,
Yes, as a standard, what we will bring for your approval so that then we can submit this to the CTC and get ready to serve other assignments.
Okay, anyone else? Questions, comments? No? Okay, I'll ask for a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the credential approval for the teachers for the school year 2022, 2023.
I'll second that.
And now roll call vote, trustee Cobb?
Aye.
Trustee Heredia?
Aye.
Trustee Madrid?
Aye.
President Jaime? Aye. Motion carried. Now, moving on to the variable term waiver application for Ms. Myra Dolores Garcia.
Okay, this request is for a variable term waiver so that this teacher can serve in the English language arts position over at our middle school. And she's in the process of completing the requirements, and so again, this will allow her to serve in that capacity next year.
Does anyone have questions or comments?
I have a question, so she doesn't have that clear credentials to teach that subject, so.
Yeah, not yet, so this allows her to serve in that capacity and do the work.
So she's working on the requirements to
Yes.
be able to be clear.
Anyone else? Okay, now we ask for a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the variable term waiver for the application for Mayra Dolores Garcia.
I'll second that.
Okay, now roll call vote, trustee Cobb?
Aye.
Trustee Heredia?
Aye.
Trustee Madrid?
Aye.
President Jaime? Aye, motion carried. And now going on to second reading of board policies. Are you all ready?
Already.
Okay, let me take a deep breath.
Oh, you want me to make the motion, so?
Yes, first, yeah, let's make the motion.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve that, well, it was not even a second reading if it was the agenda. Because we're repeating all that from the meeting for May 12th, so this is, we have to be,
That item is at the very bottom, the first one as well.
Where?
oh, let's see, oh.
It's number 15.
Number 15. The first reading.
Oh, I see it. Okay, so how do you want to make the motion?
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the first reading of the board policies. Policy A 4030, non-discrimination in employment. Number 2, 4112.9, employment notification. Third, 4212.9, employment notification. Number 4, board policy 4312.9, employment notification. 5, board policy 4141.6, concert action work on stop page. Number 6, policy 41.6, concern action and work stop page. Regulation 41.6, concern action and work on stop page. Number 8, regulation 4241.6, concern action on work on stop page. Board policy 5, it's a policy, not word. Policy 51111, admission. Regulation 5111, admission. Number 11, regulation 5113, absent and excuse. 12, regulation 5142, safety. 13, exhibit 1, 5145.6, parent notification. 14, policy 6173, education for homeless children. Number 15, regulation 6173, education for homeless children. 16, Exhibit 6173, Education for Homeless Children, new. Number 17, Exhibit 6173, Education for Homeless Children, new. 18, Board Bylaw 9322, Agenda, Meetings, and Materials.
I'll second that.
Okay. Now roll call vote. Trustee Khan.
Aye.
Trustee Heredia.
Aye.
Trustee Madrid.
Aye.
President Jaime, aye. Motion carried. Now going on to the credential approval for teachers. These are items 8 through 15 are from the May 18th meeting.
The item number 8, correct? The list of-
It's item number 8 through 15.
to 15?
Yes.
Those were all from May 12th.
Eight.
That were brought back.
I just have 8.
It's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
No, that,
13, 14, yeah, 15, right?
which one that you have on my agenda?
From the previous meeting. Not this meeting, the previous meeting, yes,
That's all.
yes.
But because for item number 9, I have resolution number 1101. And 10 is a resolution 11-0, and then there had to be action, so I have to vote single, so why we're gonna be 1 through 15?
No, I'm just saying that those are the ones from the last, so we're gonna go by each one. So first, I'm starting with credential approval for teachers. And so I need the motion. I just wanted I wanted to be clear that those are from the other one.
No, why?
So, yeah.
What you make me, okay. Okay, I will make a motion for number 8, credential approval for teachers.
I'll second that.
Now roll call vote, trustee Khan,
Aye.
trustee Heredia,
Aye.
trustee Madrid,
Aye.
President Jaime, aye, motion carried. Resolution number 01101, 2022, refunding of GO bonds. Do we have
I
a,
make a motion for resolution number 1101, 2022, refunding GO funds.
I'll second that.
roll call vote, trustee Khan,
Aye.
trustee Heredia,
Aye.
trustee Madrid,
Aye.
President Jaime, aye, motion carried. And now going on to item number 10, resolution number 1102, delinquent tax receivables to the Monterey County Educational Delinquent Tax Finance Authority for fiscal years ending June 30th, 2022 to 2023 and 2024, and authorizing execution and delivery of related documents and actions. Any questions or motion?
I'll make that motion, I suppose. This is where we're gonna start here. Make a motion to approval of resolution number 1102, delinquent tax receivables to the Monterey County Educational Delinquent Tax Finance Authority for the fiscal years ending June 30th, 2022, 2023, and 2024, and authorizing execution and delivery of related documents and actions.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call vote, trustee Khan,
Aye.
trustee Heredia,
Aye.
trustee Madrid,
Aye.
President Jaime, aye, motion carried. Now to superintendent's employment agreement verbal summary. No motion?
Yeah. I make the motion to approve the employment agreement with a 4% salary increase for the superintendent as a retroactive as of July 1st, 2021.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Does anyone have any comments?
I have a comment for them. So, and this, bringing the Superintendent Galvan, I know back, bringing it back in May 12. Just for the record, that was the first time we've seen that contract that day, and we're not discussing it, and I think if we, just for clarification, it was not very transparent and open talking it about that. So that was my comment, and then that was one of the comments that I made. I wanted letting you know if I'm not supporting you in that, because that was the lack, and then even though it doesn't go through, doesn't mean that we're not working together, but that's the way I feel, and I'm here, representing the students, and I'm always thinking students first and stuff. So that's why it's been back and forth, and I think we've been kind of lacking of communication.
Does anyone have comments?
This is for the superintendent, right?
Yes.
Okay, because we all agreed the last time.
Doesn't have to agree again. Jesus Christ.
Does anyone have comments?
Well, I think there was a motion. He seconded
Yeah,
it.
we seconded. Okay. So now roll call vote. Trustee Khan?
Aye.
Trustee Heredia?
Nay.
Trustee Madrid?
Aye.
President Jaime? Aye. Motion carried. Now, superintendents.
We combined those two.
Okay.
Yeah, they're.
Okay.
So we moved to 14.
Okay, now we need a motion for Associate Superintendent Education Services Employment Agreement Verbal Summary.
And this is my motion, right? Okay. I have the pleasure of making the motion for the Assistant Superintendent. Let's see. Sorry, I didn't write this, so I'm gonna try to read it as this. Okay. I make the motion to, let's see here. No, I make the motion to approve, or the board makes approve the employment agreement with Laura Cortez as Associate Superintendent for a term of 2 years at a salary of $190,000 per year, a cell phone stipend of $100 per month, professional dues to be paid by the district for membership in ACSA, CALSA, and the National Association of Latino Administrators and Rotary.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
I have a statement. With all respect, I'm discussing this and voting for the contract and from the that they've been given forward. So just for the record, doesn't mean that I'm not willing to work. So yes, because that's the first time to bring in the contract, and that passed some of the legal advice. They said you shouldn't be when you open to have 2 people with a contract. It's not. It's you guys could do it, but you guys not recommended to do it. So I know some districts do have it. Most of the districts they don't have it. So that's the reason, because we only have to have 1 contract that goes for the superintendent. But this is a board, and it's the pleasure of the board how they want to go. And without respect, we agree, we disagree, but doesn't mean I'm just stating this. This is voting on the item that it's here, with all respect.
Does anybody else have comments? I'd like to just comment that the items were put at the timely matter. I checked with legal and I checked on our board documents. It's our due diligence to look in our board docs for this information because it was posted in the timely manner. So now I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote. Trustee Khan?
Aye.
Trustee Heredia?
Nay.
Trustee Madrid?
Aye.
President Jaime? Aye. Motion carried. Now we're moving on to the first reading of board. I'm sorry.
No, we combined those two, so you're on.
Okay.
Yeah, we just did the first reading, so we moved to the next one.
And Mr. Lozano, can you, for clarity, when these contracts come up, I did report back, right, that, or was correct as far as when we post it or when we are putting it on our board docs. Now, if somebody or anybody in the board wants a hard copy, they're entitled to asking for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand those contracts were in the board docs, available to all of the board. They are public records. Any member of the public is entitled to a copy upon request.
And just to make a comment for clarification, all the time we get when, in the past that I've been serving the board, so we always get when we're gonna get a new contract for any superintendent, and we always send it by email to each board member, and then that package on the Friday email. So I didn't get my package, so I got the agenda item didn't have any contract for the superintendent, and for the assistant superintendent didn't have that contract. When I had my board prep with Superintendent Galvan, she mentioned that that we're having a contract. That's what I saw on the agenda. So this is for lack of communication and for the last minute, and I think we deserve to have more transparent. And I don't know what was the rush, and I think if we had more time, and we could be talking about, that was the first time hearing about the assistant superintendent having a contract. And just for the record and for transparent.
Yeah, those contracts are available all the time. I think they are, were provided with the agenda on the board docs. And anybody who wants a hard copy is entitled to a hard copy, including the board members, including the public. Anybody can walk in and say, I'd like a copy of that contract.
Thank you. Now moving on to approval of consent agenda, I need a motion.
I'm gonna be putting items.
Okay.
I would like to put item from the consent agenda. That will be item number 3, item number 10, and item 33 was going to be a modification for that. Okay, so to vote it singly.
Okay. Can you make a, do you want to make a motion?
Okay. I will make a motion to approve items 1 through 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12 through
32.
32.
Yeah, 32.
Yeah.
And then 34 to 56.
Okay. From 34 through
56.
56.
I'll second that.
Okay. You want to start with,
No, we need to.
oh, I'm sorry. Roll call vote, trustee Khan?
Aye.
Trustee Arena?
Aye.
Trustee Madrid?
Aye.
President Jaime? Aye. Motion carried.
So for the regular board meetings, for the meeting, it's why we're gonna be approving the minutes if the meeting was not official. So that was putting those items that should be removed.
I think I believe the agenda is being redone tonight, is that correct? So everything on that agenda, so it isn't necessary to approve that, the minutes for that meeting.
So
But you're taking all those actions tonight. So,
Okay. So then we don't have to. That one?
Thank you, Mr. Rosado, for your clarification.
And what was the next one?
Number 10.
Number 10.
I would like to get more information on the, for the field trip to the out-of-state travel to the conference. I think the conference, the International Society for Technology and Education.
Of course. So as with the board, and we had a discussion about professional development, this is also an additional professional development for myself to be able to receive information on technology at the national level, to be able to bring that back to our students here in Greenfield to continue the efforts that we're doing to be cutting edge, innovative, and support all students within our community.
And who's gonna be going to that conference, besides yourself?
I was invited to attend to the superintendent symposium portion of it.
So you will be the only one flying. Thank you for your answers.
Thank you. What's the price?
$2,500.
And does anyone have questions? No? No, you don't have questions anymore? Or Mr. Khan?
No? Hope you enjoy your time at the conference, and, yes.
Entertain a motion.
Okay, can I get a motion?
Sure, make a motion for out-of-state travel for ISTE Conference, New Orleans, June 26th to 29th, 2022.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Trustee Khan?
Aye.
Trustee Heredia?
Yay.
Trustee Madrid?
Aye.
President Jaime? Aye, motion carried. And now?
There was one more, 33.
Okay.
Okay, so on this item 33, I'm going to pull the recommendation for the Mary Chapa Assistant Principal, and the only item that will remain is for the Associate Superintendent of Educational Services.
Any questions? Can I get a motion? That's for item 33. For the BP.
32.
I make a motion for the employment notice for management confidential personnel, number 198, superintendent, and just that one. Yeah, associate superintendent of educational services.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Trustee Khan?
Aye.
Trustee Heredia?
Nay.
Trustee Madrid?
Aye.
President Jaime? Aye, motion carried. Okay. So now, that's it, right? Okay.
Yes. Future agenda item. I have a question for a future agenda item. I know we just approved the resolution number 1105, the AB 361. So my question is, are we gonna be approving that resolution every meeting for the future meetings? For not,
Or is it just a one-time thing?
because the ABC it says that has to be approved with 30 days before prior meetings.
No, you do, I'm sorry. The legislature requires that meeting be, or that resolution be adopted once a month, not in every single meeting. So it's good for 30 days, and then you've got to re-adopt if you want to use the provisions that allow you to, every 30 days.
So for next meeting,
You're fine within, every 30 days you gotta adopt it.
yeah, so for our next meeting, so for the month.
Since you're skipping July.
And I have a question because there at the ABC, AB 361 said post the agenda for the teleconference or location of the wherever you go, because I'm gonna be going to a conference, so I have to be post the agenda there at
No, the reason you're adopting this resolution is that if you didn't adopt the resolution, you would have to post the agenda at your location. And anybody in the public could come to that location and participate with you in the board meeting. By adopting the resolution, it eliminates the need for posting, and the public cannot come to your location if you're connecting remotely. Yeah.
So you don't have to post anything for any.
In your hotel?
Not at your hotel.
No. Because there are the AB, was talking on the bill saying you have to post an agenda each telephone conference location and wherever they're gonna be.
You'll indicate, well, no, AB 361 allows you to not do that. Otherwise, the Brown Act would require you to do that.
To post it.
Yeah.
That's why you have to adopt it.
We're safe for 30 days.
Every 30 days, you have to re-adopt that same resolution.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll have to redo it. Yeah.
Does anyone else have any recommendations for the next? I just, to the public's comments, Mr. Nieto, can we get an update on our playgrounds and where we're at with our Mary Chapa site? Just a little update. I know that there's work going on there, but just to get us excited of how close we are in finishing. Anyone else? No? No, nothing for next board meeting that you want? Future topics?
Oh, the future topics, I don't have to do it, but I would like to see like a staff, report for all the professional developments that the staff attend, like different conferences, see, for the expenditures and who's going to a conference, and especially I know one side when and how many for that school side when and one from the other school side, so we could see, and then for the record that all the staff and all the teachers that have the opportunity to participate, it's up to them. If you didn't participate, I would like to see more on there.
And to Ms. Arenia's point too, how is it that it's decided who goes or how do you coverage if it's during school time? All right.
No, not for August.
For August, yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, so now.
Board President, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Since you have the attorney right here, I'm always asking to pull a consent agenda. Can the public do it or not since the attorney is here?
Thank you for reminding me, Ms. Diaz.
Yeah, the real attorney.
I think the question is, can the members of the public request that an item on the consent agenda be removed and addressed? And the short answer is no. The public has a right to speak to every item on the agenda, whether it's open session or closed session or consent agenda. So the public has a right to speak to those items. But it is the board's agenda, and the board controls the agenda. So they can control what is on the consent agenda, they can control the order of the agenda. It is the board's meeting that is held in public. And the public has a right to listen to the board, observe the board, and also provide the board with comments on every single item on the agenda.
So we skip tonight, but not
The short answer is the public cannot pull an item from the agenda. You can't remove an item on the agenda, and you can't ask that a consent agenda be addressed by the board separately. The board can choose how it addresses its items.
So if the board gives you an okay, that's okay or not at all?
Well, the consent agenda contains routine items. So rather than speaking to every item on the agenda for the board to speak, they can say, we don't want to address each and every item on the agenda. And we place it on the consent agenda and we approve them in total.
Okay.
But the public can still stand up and say, I have comments on this item on the agenda, on the consent agenda. So the public can speak to every single item. The board has chosen, or can choose, to allow each board member to pull an item off of the consent agenda, so it is addressed separately, just like it was done tonight. But the public still has a right to stand up and address each item on the consent agenda.
Thank you.
So
Our
you
turn
see,
was kinda
yes,
skipped.
always you can come and comment.
Yeah, just jump up there. if
Did
they-
that answer your question? Okay, thank you. So now we are going to ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting at 11:31. No? I'm tired, I'm sorry, guys. Meeting adjourned at 11:31.